What's going on, everybody? Cali Death Podcast back once again for 98 episodes we're going to do tonight, guys. This is episode 98. I am Anthony, your host, and always with me, my resident homies, Joel and Casey. I actually don't know. Are we going to see the professor later on tonight?
I don't know.
And that's silence.
Yeah.
Anyways, possibly. Anyways, guys, what's going on? Thank you for being with us. Thank you to everybody who is already here on Twitch, and thank you for the future people who are going to pop in here. If you want to see these things live, you guys got to come to our Twitch channel. Twitch, what is it? What is that? Do we even have a link for that to pop up for them?
It's just twitch.tv. Yeah, I'll put it up there.
Cool.
Twitch.tv for the listeners, twitch.tv/Cali Death Podcast.
There you go. Boom. And you can hang out with us live, and if not, it'll still be up on YouTube the next day and all the podcast platforms for audio and all that stuff. So, yeah, but I already introduced you guys, Joel and Casey, right? What's going on, guys?
Hey.
And tonight we are joined by a long time. I've known about Pessimist for a long time, dude. So it's really cool to be able to sit here and chat with you, Kelly. We got Kelly Mclauchlin. What's going on, bro?
Awesome. Thanks. How you guys doing? Glad to be here, man.
Dude.
Good, man.
Yeah, definitely. It's true Cali Death Podcast since you're in California with us as well. So
yeah,
that's always cool, dude. Let's get some. Actually, did I say anything else that I needed to say? No, I already mentioned the Twitch. Yeah, come hang out on Twitch, guys. It doesn't cost anything, right? Joel, it doesn't cost you to have a Twitch, right? All right.
No,
so yeah, dude, if you come and hang out with us on a Thursday night, what else are you going to be doing? Well, actually, it's football season, so maybe people will be watching football and shit. But
I'm just watching that.
What else do you guys do?
But yeah, plugs real quick. You know it's coming. Battleforgecoffee.com. The homies in Deeds of Flesh. They got the mean bean for you guys to grind up and get your day started. The mean bean, dude.
Nice.
Yeah, dude. They got the coffee. They got the swag. They're doing a good thing over there. It's good shit. And we don't have any merch still, guys. I've been saying that for like probably fucking 10 podcasts now. But Kelly, what's up with you, dude? You got certain places you want people to go to on the internet, find merch and all that kind of stuff?
Oh yeah, for merch. Well, of course, all our merch right now is being handled through Season of Mist, print on demand. So if you just go to the Season of Mist website and search out Pessimist, you'll see we got like maybe I don't know, 9 or 10 shirt designs for our reissues and stuff like that. That's about it as far as merch right now. So, but you get those as t-shirts, zippered hoodies, pullovers, like girly baby doll tees, long sleeves, wife beaters or whatever. They got it all there. So that's Season of Mist. That's where it's at.
What about Bandcamp? You guys got a Bandcamp or anything?
Well, yeah, we do have a Bandcamp. Also, it's Pessimist Cult is the name. It's pessimistcult.bandcamp.com, and that's also handled by Season of Mist. Though they do all that. They do all the shipment and everything right there. So yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, man.
Cool, dude.
Anybody who's looking for our website, I mean, we'll just dive straight in and go to that. Usually save that for the end, but that's pessimist.us. So
okay,
that's our website. Yeah, we're on all the socials too.
Killer, dude.
Nice.
Look at how quick Joel is, dude. He's already got it there.
Hopefully I spelled it right. That was quick.
You did. You got it. Dude. He's getting faster at that, dude.
He's got a fast finger, dude.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Dude.
Check it out.
Check it out for sure, dude. Underground fucking true death metal. A lot of pure aspects to Pessimist that going through your guys' discography again this week. I feel like it's true death metal. It's like
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, I want to, like, you're wearing an incantation shirt. Casey and I had spoken about it, and you could definitely feel the incantation influence, the deicide influence, and yeah, dude.
Yes, all that. Awesome. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. You'll be hearing a lot more of that on the new record too, as well.
Nice.
It's maybe even a little more prevalent. Like, I mean, as you go through and listen, like you might be like, that's a DSI riff. That's okay. There's a Slayer riff. That's Obituary. And it just, that's our style. It still sounds like Pessimist, and that's, but we're very well rooted in the old school death metal, particularly the Florida scene, but also New York styles,
I had my first time coming across you guys was on a compilation through SOD magazine. You remember those?
Sure. Yeah, of course.
And they would come with they'd come plastic wrapped with a little sampler CD from a certain record label that would come out with it that month.
Sure.
Or I think it wasn't every month. I think that was a 4 time a year, like
quarterly.
Yeah.
And
I remember hearing you guys on one of those samplers, and it was one of the more standout bands on that compilation. I forget what label. I would think about 2000 to 2002. What label were you guys signed to at that time?
So we were on a label at that time called Lost Disciple Records.
Yep,
which was we were pretty much the biggest band on there, except at first they had a hardcore band called Blood for Blood. So if you ever heard of them,
yep.
And then we were basically the second band to sign to that label. They ended up signing a few more bands from the West Coast, a black metal band named Noctuary. You guys might remember them. And then later on, we actually referred them to some friends of ours, Versifera from Texas. And they did real well with the label and everything. The label was growing. We had very good distribution through Relapse, Century Media, Nuclear Blast, and all the mail order catalogs, getting in stores, and a lot of press, radio airplay, and stuff like that. And then right around 2006 or so, maybe if I get that correctly, the label folded and went underground, or just went out of business. And basically, so that was like 15, almost 20 years ago. Our records were just out of print. They were just gone. And the label basically still owned the rights to our master recordings. And so there wasn't much going on for the band for a while. So that's kind of that's how that went. But yeah, Lost Disciple, they're not around anymore.
Okay. Well, yeah, that's that. I was just saying that's the first place that I had come across you guys. But yeah, dude, let's dig into your past a little bit before all this stuff. Like, we usually always started off as far as you can remember, dude. And we want to know what the seeds of your musical influence are and where they came from earliest in your childhood. And for me, it was doo-wop and 50s stuff that my parents were playing, 50s and 40s and 50s stuff that my parents were playing around the house, and Motown, all that stuff. Just basically what made your ears perk up as a child,
Sure. I mean, that's a really cool question. And it's pretty simple. I mean, like you, I grew up listening to music around the house. My mom and dad were into different kinds of music in the 70s, folk rock and folk music. Mom liked Neil Young, Barry Manilow, Kenny Rogers. So I heard a lot of, these songs have a lot of melodies, and the way the songs are constructed, and they have hooks and they're catchy. And, then a little later, Dad had some Jimi Hendrix records, and I kind of got turned on to that. But yeah, we always had music around the house. Even my aunts and uncles played organ and piano in the church, sang in the choir. So we were always around, kind of had music around. And I loved rock music and songs, the way they would get stuck in your head, especially stuff from the 70s, man. And basically in elementary school to junior high, I joined the marching band and started off playing saxophone. So I learned to read music, learned a bunch more songs. I got really good at that.
What age was that?
Fuck, man, I was probably 10 when I picked up the saxophone, started playing sax in the school band.
I just got my 11-year-old a trumpet. He wants to start playing trumpet because he's got a band class now too in 5th grade.
Awesome.
So yeah,
awesome.
He's
I
think that I really appreciate wind instruments in my adulthood too. It wasn't something that I really was drawn to, it was always distorted guitars or beats and all that kind of stuff. But now I'm starting to really appreciate brass and wind,
Sure thing, man. For sure.
So how long and sax was the first thing?
Yeah, so that was the same thing for me. It would have been 5th and 6th grade, and then I played sax all the way up till high school. So for about 6 years, something like that, I got very, pretty good at it. I was the best in the school. My parents made me practice every day. It was like a discipline thing. I just got very good at it, man. I understood scales. I understood music. I mean, sax is different than a guitar because it's a linear instrument, like single notes, rather than on a guitar you play chords or piano you play chords. So by the time I hit high school, and then so that would have been around 1981, 82, 83, all the best heavy metal music in the world to this day was coming out right. So, all the Iron Maiden, everything, Quiet Riot was on the charts, Rat was getting played on the radio, so was Scorpions, Def Leppard, everything. And at that point, I picked up a guitar and, I haven't really played a sax since, I was like, well, guitar is so much cooler and you get a lot more attention with it. So that would have been
did you get an opportunity to pick it up later on and see if you could still wail on the sax or not?
Wail on it? Yeah, I think I have picked up one. I forget where I was, maybe a music store, and just I can still get noise out of it. I still remember the scales and the fingerings and stuff. So, it's cool. That's fun. Yeah.
With sax, I forget. I've tried to play one. I don't think I've ever gotten a note out of one. So when you have the reed in the sax, are you supposed to make a noise into it, or did you just blow into it?
You blow into it, but you put your teeth on the top, and then you kind of like tongue it from the bottom, I would say, and you kind of like like that. It's kind of like a kind of thing.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah, with the trumpet, you would do what you were doing.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It's got to be like you're actually helping the noise happen with your lips. Yeah. It's like you're farting. Do a raspberry into it,
Yeah. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So from there on, so you were playing the sax, and then so you picked up the guitar right after that.
Yeah, and like probably about 10th grade, high school, I was just like, wow, guitar is the way to go. I'm reaching way back here to the very beginnings, the dawn of time, because metal was just coming out, and I lived out in the country. We didn't have, it's not like out here where there was KNAC and everything. We just had a very small FM station out in the country, but I rode the school bus a lot every day for hours and hours every day. So I became very enchanted with pop music and music that was on the radio. I knew all the songs. I could still tell you to this day, my 80s music trivia is fucking strong, man. I can, test me on it. I can call out anything.
Where were you growing up? Was it California then?
Yeah, no, I grew up on the East Coast in a very small state called Delaware. It's right next to Maryland, near PA, New Jersey. I don't know if anybody knows where that's at. So small town called Georgetown, Delaware. And it was just basically a lot of, cornfields and chickens and trees, basically. There's not a lot there. There's the beach in the summertime, which was awesome. But in the winter, it was kind of beat. Nowadays, it's pretty fucking cool there. Yeah. So
when did you come across a guy with a like-minded attitude towards the stuff you were finding on the radio? Did you already have friends find it? Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, like you said, you were really into the 80s, stuff that was on the radio. Did you already have friends that were discovering it with you, or?
So kind of how that all happened. There's a rock station out of Maryland called 98 Rock, and they would have on Sundays like the Rock Block or the King Biscuit Flower Hour and stuff. And there was a show called Metal Shop. Do you guys remember that? Syndicated out of New York City?
Yeah, I've heard of that for sure.
And that was around the same years. I guess this would have been a little later, but for example, when Metallica, when they dropped Master of Puppets came out, they did the nationwide syndicated debut on Metal Shop. So I heard Battery, and I believe it was The Thing That Should Not Be. They played those two songs, and no one had ever heard this stuff before. I mean, it was the kind of stuff that would, it'd blow your mind,
Totally.
It was the most stuff. As far as early influences of what got me into that earlier was the same radio station, 98 Rock, but I was hearing rock blocks of like AC/DC, Iron Maiden, and I was into back then, there was like Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin and Aerosmith and stuff. But when I started hearing metal, I mean, honestly, I'm going to tell you guys, the first band that, really rocked my socks off was Black Sabbath, man. I mean,
hell yeah.
Black Sabbath, I mean,
Totally.
I joined a record club, BMG, Columbia House. I bought everything I could get my hands on, man. Black Sabbath, Van Halen, Blue Oyster Cult. I mean, you name it. And, Black Sabbath scared the shit out of me, man. I don't know about you guys, but that was, it was the most heaviest, scariest, craziest sounding music I'd ever heard. Ozzy's singing about the devil. And, it was just, it was nuts. And I mean, that was kind of the first stepping stone. They came, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest. The first two Ozzy records dropped with Randy Rhoads. When they came out with Blizzard of Oz and Diary of a Madman, it was just life changing for me, man. That's
right.
And I was that was a big turning point for me. I was instantly fucking hooked.
That's no turning back point. That's no turning back point, dude.
Yeah, I was off the deep end for sure. And I did. I found, kids, a friend of mine in school, and he had a guitar, and his dad knew how to play guitar, so he started showing me some bar chords, and I mean, that's kind of where it started out, man. Yeah.
Going back to Black Sabbath too, though. Sorry to cut you off, but going back to Black Sabbath too, like nowadays, if we hear a band, we can instantly go on the internet and type in, like, what do they look like? What's going on? Like, what their whole vibe. You can kind of figure out online. Like back then, all you had was like the records, and you just had this scary sound coming from it, and maybe a magazine would come out with like a picture of them, and that's like all you couldn't like do research on them. It was just like what you hear, and then they're kind of mysterious because you got the album pictures, and that's pretty much all you got to go off of, is just to look at that picture of them and go like, whoa, it's coming from these guys. Like, what's up with these guys? And you can't you can't dive in more,
Well, that creates this mystique, this kind of aura of mystique, especially around bands like Led Zeppelin, where I just remember the mystique and the mysticism around Jimmy Page, and people would say rumors like, oh, I heard he bought Aleister Crowley's mansion, and he reads books on black magic, and he had this kind of aura of this black wizard, of this magician guitar player, and that really appealed to me. As well as like Tony Iommi and these guys who had this very dark kind of mystique around their playing. So another thing we got into is there was rock magazines back then. So everybody remembers Hit Parader, or what else was there? Metal Edge. There was
it was Kerrang or Caring. Is that
was
go back
before
that
that?
far?
I think it was
right, but they were like US mags, I guess. But and you can flip through the magazine. Same thing. They have Motley Crue, Def Leppard, Scorpions, Y&T, any band you could think of. And I remember flipping to the back pages, and they had this guy, this guitar instructor, Doug Marks, for a guitar lessons company he had called Metal Method. And I sent off for some of those, and I was probably in 11th grade, so I'm like, I don't know, 16 or something. And back then you had to, I think, mail a check. I even mailed him cash, like a $10 bill through the mail. You wait for a month. Like you don't get like an email confirmation or anything. You just wait by your mailbox, and then like like a month later it comes, and it's a cassette and a booklet, like a little tablature booklet. So you got to look through and follow the tablature and play the tape, and so that really got me started, man. Yeah.
That's awesome. I think Metal Method's still around. I think Metal Method's still a thing. I still see that logo over it. Yeah, it's trippy.
Absolutely, cool.
I just love the DIY aspects are always there from the beginning too. Like metal forced itself into the zeitgeist. At that point, it's like, hearing you send $10 cash and hope it gets there and hope something shows up that, but in the whole tape trading thing too, it was basically the underground didn't give a fuck about, getting help by anybody. We're going to make it happen no matter what.
Definitely.
Exactly.
Because if that didn't happen, what would it be like today if there was lazy people back then, but it's not. This isn't a lazy style of music, even back in its beginning era. You know,
you didn't have a choice back then. Like you had to seek it, and you had to want it. If you don't want it, you're not going to get it. You know what I mean? It's like there's no other choice. There's not like a Amazon Prime app. It's like, yeah, buy it now. Like it's gonna show up. It's like you gotta like seek it out. You're like into it. You gotta
it's
like.
Crazy to think that people like don't even have to deal with this like in modern times. But like, if you like didn't own an album physically, but like before the internet and music was like, you couldn't just hear it like anytime.
Yeah.
So it's like now you can just go hear something like, like reference something, pull it up and listen to it in any time now. You know.
I wonder if there's somebody who's listening to this right now that has never even like held a cassette tape or played a cassette tape, you know?
For sure, dude.
I mean, probably 90% of them are.
Yeah.
I mean, they're making a comeback, you know, with the whole, like we talked about before, a lot of the bands are only releasing cassettes now because they're like, fuck it, it's kind of a new cool thing. Yeah, because they're like, it's a cool thing, and like I've brought it up a few times. Like I bought a new car, and like there's no fucking CD player in it anymore. It's like they don't put. It's like it connects via Bluetooth. Like that's like the only way to connect your phone to the stereo. Is like it just goes like through the air into your fucking console, and then you're just connecting now. Yeah, it's not like there's no media. You know what I mean? So the tape thing actually made sense to me because I was like. Because I buy vinyls, like I have a bunch of vinyls behind me, but they're sealed. Like I just want the vinyl, like for the piece of art, and I can listen to it easily online. But I want to like have that big piece of art of the albums I love. You know,
it's like even if you don't play them, dude, it still just gives you that sense of nostalgia plus like the effort to put forth a piece of art, like you were saying, the whole experience. We've said it many a times on the show. The ripping it open, opening it up, reading all the liners, you know. I mean, Cheech and Chong records used to come with zigzags and shit in them, you know. So you get little bonuses like that too. You can't.
Good old days, man.
Right. And but it isn't just a nostalgia thing, but it really just shows that like even the newer generations are recognizing the past. There may have been some kids that bought a record or a tape player just to play a Defeated Sanity tape, you know? And they would have never previously had a piece of equipment like that. But since, you know, I'm referencing that because didn't this Defeated do like their whole discography as a box set of cassette tapes?
Wow. That's a fun idea. I would actually want to buy that, you know?
Crazy.
Right on.
Definitely. Cool. That's like these new ideas that bands are coming out with they're fun. You know, it's like there's bands coming out with they're doing the 2 songs at a time and they're releasing like a 7-inch for each of those 2 songs and different art for each piece and like almost like it's like a puzzle. It's like you want the whole collection, like collect them all. You know what I mean? It's like a thing that you want and just to have and like I don't know. I think that's the wave of the future of trying to get like physical media out to people, you know, besides shirts and stuff like that.
You're right. Yeah,
definitely.
Grasping on to something, it really is just like making sure that we don't lose this, guys. Like we don't need to buy zip drives of it. That was another thing too that I was thinking, like USB zip drives would have been a thing too. Like you go to a concert and just here's our whole thing just on this little thing with our logo.
USB drive. Yep. Yeah.
I'm sure there has been.
There has.
Just, you know,
I've gotten some from some bands, like just a USB drive, thumb drive of just like an album and a couple music videos or something, you know.
So this is the response to that, you know. We're gonna try and hold on to some of the past.
You could probably plug that fucker into your car now, and it'll just play like music videos on your screen. It's crazy, man. Jesus.
So, all right. So your life's changed once you come across all the stuff we were just mentioning. So, what about your friend base? Like, were you guys all like passing stuff back and forth? And dude, I found this. Check this out.
I mean, there was again. It was a very small town. We were way out in the country. You know, I only knew 1 or 2 kids who even had a guitar. It's not like nowadays where there's whatever music around or music stores everywhere. You just go buy guitars. It wasn't like that out there. If you knew someone had a guitar, it was a pretty big deal to even somebody who had a guitar or somebody who had a drum set. Like, oh, they're almost automatically in the band. Like, what, you play drums?
Right. Yeah.
So
that's how Ozzy got into Sabbath, because he had a PA.
Yeah, I heard that too.
No shit. That's the story, dude. I never fucking knew that.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's rad. That's
so
good.
And on that same thing about physical media, like, and this is no lie, kids. It sounds like I remember growing up and hearing, my grandparents say, oh, we never had TV, or we only had black and white TV or something. It's hard to understand. It's hard to grasp when you haven't been there. But for me, I can tell you for real, I was learning Black Sabbath riffs off the record, like from the vinyl at the record player, and I have to go put the needle very carefully on this part of the record. There goes the riff. And you're like, oh, okay, try it again. Run across the room and like move the needle again real quick. And I mean, that's really how it was done back then. Once cassettes came out, that was like, oh, cool. Now you have a pause button and you can pause it, rewind. Yeah. It was a little more easier, but.
So that was like the first pause button was the cassette then.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it is true. I didn't even think of that. Yeah, that's because there's no way to really pause. Like if you
a record player
needle comes
pause,
up,
right?
But the needle comes up, right? Doesn't it? It just and then it just drops somewhere random, right?
And then it like stops.
Shout out, not a drunk dude. That's a
that's a good one. We should do the floppy disk release.
The floppy disk release.
Yeah. You get like a second
20
of a
floppy
song.
disks.
It only holds like
20 floppy disks. Yeah, one song per disc, dude.
Like, floppy disk holds shit.
Yeah.
That's like
it's all like an 8-bit like fucking Sega Genesis style songs.
How many megabytes do? Oh, okay. So there's the hard floppies that were late, but I remember like the old floppy discs.
Like
you could literally
flop. They're that big.
Those were bad.
Yeah.
You couldn't even get like.
And you had to press it in, and then it had like a little spring tension, and then it would just
like turn this thing, lock it down, like make sure it doesn't come out.
The hard ones were 1.4 megabytes, so that's
okay.
It's still not even enough for a song. It's like the first minute of a song would be.
Yeah,
you need like 3 or 4 of them for.
If you like a super compressed song. Pig Destroyer could fit it on the early Pig Destroyer could fit it on one song on one disc.
One song perfect.
Yeah.
Oh man,
the song has to be short enough to fit on a floppy.
Oh, just go to like the oldest media you can find. Like, ours was on punch cards. Like, that's the original way they made computers. Ours in binary, dog. Like, I don't know. Oh shit. Funny.
Hell yeah, dude.
All right.
All right. So yeah, we didn't even stop anywhere other than things were just growing for you, like what you were being exposed to in this small town. Like, I love that too, that just to go on, like, metal will always find a way, like, even if you're in a small town, little social group, whatever, metal will still find its way into a little part of that small town, and I love that. I love that. Man. It's just like that. It's like a positive parasite, dude.
Positive parasite. Yes. It's a classic story, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. And this is around the same time, like MTV was just coming out, right. And I was like 15 and wanting to grow my hair and like, hang with the cool kids and smoke cigarettes and,
what did mom and dad think of all that when that was happening?
Oh, not good, man. I had very strict parents, which is largely why I turned out the way I have. So,
yeah.
Which is, I'm awesome. I'm a great person. I have a great life, but I'm a total fucking rebel. Totally. I could not wait to grow my hair and, get a tattoo and just, and just go for it and just be awesome at life, So
right.
But,
right.
I think is that what were you gonna say, Casey? Sorry.
No, I was just going.
Oh, it sounded like you were gonna say something.
I was just going.
That small town, the small town vibe, like maybe is that why your parents were strict? Is it more religious there?
Oh wow, I don't know. Yeah,
so parents weren't really religious, because we've come across some guests that kind of have that similar backstory of I rebelled against it because like some guys. I was just gonna say some guys literally wouldn't be able to listen to anything but Christian music in the house,
Okay, well, this was not that strict, but and I don't usually go all into it, but yeah, we had a very religious upbringing. I was raised Protestant, Christian, church, Sunday school, and what can I say? I hated it. I was miserable. I remember being in church, and when they would play the organ, and I would pretend in my mind that this was the intro for Mr. Crowley, the Ozzy song that starts off with the organ.
Dude.
Oh shit!
Like, yeah.
Awesome.
So I mean, so that was a pretty tough upbringing with that, and all the stuff that goes along with it. That means no smoking, no drinking. We were raised pretty strict, but I love my parents. I respect them now for what they put me through. They taught me to be a very fucking hard worker, man. I'm so determined, and so that I've carried through with me in my adult life.
That's cool too, dude. It's like to be able to find the certain aspects of your upbringing, because you could be a person that just looks back at the negative and that's it. And I didn't learn anything from it other than I hated this, and that. Yeah. But if you mature and look back on it and realize there are lessons that I could have taken, that I did, or I could have taken from that to still better me as a person, you find what you can to use now,
Sure, man. Yeah. And that took a lot of years for me to make that kind of journey that you're referring to there. You know what I mean? Because for a lot of years, just the rebellion and not understanding and not liking it. But then, some years later, you grow up, you mature, you pull through. And, and then some years later, I no longer self-identify as a Christian. That was a pretty big, important step in my journey as well. So but that came later.
Definitely. Yeah. Letting go of something that, with me, I grew up Catholic, but around 5th grade, my parents weren't super strict with it though. Like we did do church every now and then for like we never really went just randomly on a Sunday. It had to be for something really and Easter. I did do the catechism. I went to Bible school for up until about 5th grade. And in 5th grade, I just started telling my mom was good enough to be able to let me express myself. And I was at that time, I was just like, I can't do this anymore. It's like, some of it just seems, I didn't say this at the time, but some of it just seems like bullshit to me, Mom, like I can understand that there's like certain morals and things that you can take from the religion itself to better you as a person. I still today can say that there's certain things that I learned in Catholicism that are not bad at all, but the whole, we don't really need to get into details about it, other than I just knew that some of it was totally a lie to me, and she was okay with that. At 5th grade, she let me start to move away from it, but I didn't actually get rid of it completely. Like I can still remember being in like 8th grade and like praying, like, I really like this girl. Please let her like me back.
Girls like God, so that works out.
Girls like God, dude. There's the quote of the night so far. Girls like God, dude.
Girls like God.
Please let me fornicate pre-marriage with this girl.
No, at that time I'm just like, let me maybe kiss and grab a boob or something like that, dude.
Yeah, whoa. Yeah, great.
Oh, like 8th grade, that was the
and then you're thinking like, wait, I'm asking God for that. Like, why? If God's the way that He is in the story, He's not going to be like, all right, I'm gonna set Anthony up with a quick boob grab at recess tomorrow.
God just hooks it up. God's like, dude, give him a quick grab. It's all good. I had a weird relationship with it too, because my grandma would bring me. She was Catholic as well. She would, when I went and visited her, if I could talk, I went and she lived in New Mexico, so I'd go visit her whenever she had a chance. When she got a hold of me, she's like, "All right, Sundays for fucking church. Here we go." And I was already kind of far. I mean, when I was younger, I went to catechism with Derek Rydquist from the Faceless. Like that was because he was doing it, and we were like good friends when we were like toddlers. So I was like, well, they're going, or he's going, so I'm gonna go with them, kind of thing. And then I went, and I was like, what the fuck? This is like a nightmare. Like I don't want to go. It was like super strict, and they were teaching. I don't know. It was just a strict, weird catechism. But I only went just to like hang out with friends and stuff like that, and because I was a young kid, I wanted to hang out with my friends. But my mom was along the Buddhist path, so I was going to like Buddhist retreats and stuff, and hanging out with like fucking llamas and shit, and like it was a totally interesting kind of childhood, and I ended up like seeing them way later, and I'm like, yeah, I'm in a death metal band now. they're like, oh, that's cool, you know, like, and I'm like, well, I'm still mellow as fuck. Like, you guys taught me to be mellow and compassionate and all those things, you know. I still got a lot of those teachings, I guess you would call it, because certain religions that are religions, but you can also take like a kind of a moral code from, and not just like the story of Buddha or whatever. You could like take like an actual treat people fucking nice and like care about other people kind of attitude from it. So that's kind of what I got from it.
Is there a good and evil aspect to Buddhism, Joel?
There's not really evil. There's stories of evil and stuff like that. But I remember specifically a time where we had Christian protesters show up to the retreat we were at, and just with like signs and shit. And Lama Tarchin, the one that ran the whole thing, he just went out to them and just like hugged them.
Yeah, and who's, you know, and that's like, the thing. It's like who was evil in that story? It's not.
I know he's like, remember one of the first stories he ever said that I came online and remembered was him saying basically in Joel talk, I don't give a fuck what God you believe in. Like, we're here to like be nice to each other and take care of each other and blah blah blah. You know, he didn't say I don't give a fuck, but that's how I took it, as just like, he's all, whatever you want to believe, man, just fucking be cool.
And if you want to hang out, you're more than welcome to stay.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's a cool way to think. I like that.
No, definitely. I mean, a lot of Tibetans got pretty crazy though when China got involved, and they went like gnarly. Like, they were not, like, if you were gonna fuck with their cities and shit, they were gonna come after you, full guns ablazing and shit. But you know, they had to do what they had to do.
All right, so back to the music.
Wait, no, we didn't get your religious upbringing, dude.
I know, you get to skip that one easy.
Exactly.
That's why Casey said that, dude. He doesn't want to be on the
painful
chopping block.
It is.
It's very painful. Very painful. No,
guys, have you guys ever been high in church?
No.
It was
I quit going to church way before I started getting high.
I've been to like post being religious, I've been high in a couple of church settings, and it actually puts you more in tune with like everybody else in the room, dude. You start to look around and realize that, you know, that they're getting a powerful energy out of it while they're in there, you know, and I'm not there to get in the way of that. I just to be an observer. It actually is kind of a cool experience to watch people in their, you know, innocent elements, you know, and being all together in that room. But I mean,
they're just there to censor your albums and take away a lot of stuff.
No, most people are just there to like fucking end the week. Like, I had a hard week, dude. Let's get some God up in this.
Let's get some God.
Okay, I got a God story for you. So,
all right, here we go.
So the answer to your question is, I grew up Protestant. Oh, full screen. Here we go. Protestant Christian at this church, and my family would go, but they weren't like hardcore about it or anything. We'd like celebrate Easter and those kind of things, and yay and all this. And then there was like a period where like my mom like became like the superintendent of the Sunday school or something. And it was miserable.
Jesus.
And we had to go like all the time. And I kind of want to be on this for you. It was just like, and, dude, it was like, seriously, like, I remember, but I don't know. I had a girlfriend there, a couple of things, you know, it was cool, like going to Sunday school, like a little bit, but it was mostly just like the most, I hated it, you know? Anyways, so like fast forward, like, okay, so like like, I was like 12, 13, and I just decided, like I told my parents, like, I'm not going to church anymore. I don't care. Like, I'm not going. Like, it's not going to happen. They're going to ground me. I'm like, nope, it's not gonna happen. Nope. And then like, you know, I had the little cross necklace, dude, when I was like, you know, younger. I was like this, you know, I was one of those kids. Anyways, and so fast forward like 15, I was like, yeah, like 2 or 3 more years later, I was in my teenage years, and I ordered all these online CDs, and I got Deicide Legion, the 1/6 Incinerate Him, like had just come out or something. Cannibal Corpse, Tomb and the Mutilated, Butchered at Birth. Like I got all the CD, and I've told the story on the pod before, but they got those delivered, and this is like literally like 3 or 4 years after I was going to church and told them no more, and they're just like reading. My dad sat me down. He's like, Satan spawned the cacodemon, you know, like he's like, you know, all these things. Like, are you okay? Like, you know, and I was just like, it's all good, dude.
It's all good, bro.
Yeah. So, you know,
damn,
it makes me
they
feel
didn't break
good.
them or anything. They didn't break them. They
let me keep them. I just because
okay.
I told him, I was like, well, I'm not like actually like into Satan. I just like think it's funny, dude. Like I think it's great, you know.
Yeah,
I thought I was like art. It's like, dude, like you watch, you know, like I'm not gonna watch The Exorcist, and then afterwards I'm like, yes, I'm like all about possession or something. Like it's
right,
like,
right.
it's art, dude.
And
like,
you watch it with your dad. You're like, do you feel like you want to get into exorcisms and shit now, Dad?
Yeah,
No,
it's like,
we just had an experience.
you've been
you know?
branded. Yeah, it's like, I don't know. I was like,
exactly.
dude, this music's great, dude. So I don't know. I just think that's funny, like how it's you can like go from such a change so quick, and but it's like a thing. It's like a perception thing. It's like kind of a, I don't know. I feel like people take religion really seriously, you know, of course, and it's like a thing that's like deep, and they get offended and stuff because it's like part of your upbringing, and it's like thing you hold on to, you know, and it's like they don't understand. Like I don't take Satan seriously, like I don't take any of that. It's like silly, but it's like fucking rad, like as an art form.
Yeah, it's like
Slayer. I mean, come on, dude.
It's like a cool, like I
Yeah.
said with the Paul from Cannibal episode. It's like it's a audio horror movie. You know, it's like it's like
Exactly.
horror movies fucking
Exactly,
sell
dude.
millions of fucking copies. You know, it's like, and everyone buys them, and then they hear death metal, and they're like, what? It's like, what are you? It's the same thing. Like, what are you talking about? Like,
exactly.
So it's pretty kind of
we're
hypocritical for a lot of people.
That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
Totally hypocritical.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's the same as you know, whatever, like whatever Texas Chainsaw Massacre, whatever. You got Hacked Up for Barbecue, you got Mortician, you got Cannibal Corpse. It's all, you know, it's art.
I always feel that Mortician, even from the beginning, because I was already keen to a lot of the horror stuff then, and and sorry to Mortician if you're very serious about your music. I've always just had them as like one of those comical bands that I listened to, because it was just always funny to me to read the album names, look at the artwork, read the song names, and then hear the songs themselves. And I just always lump them into the comic thing. I hope that when you see those guys, they take it pretty seriously.
They look pretty serious.
Trying to offend any Mortician fans, but that band is lumped into like the same category as Crotch Duster for me.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really gone down the Mortician. That's a band I kind of always skipped, just because I mean, in the beginning I was kind of not anti, but just the drum machine thing. I was like, when it first came out, I was like, okay, well, it sounds kind of silly. But then I saw bands doing it more often, like, you know, Wretch and bands that were coming up in the early 2000s.
So Wretch is interesting as shit. If you listen to Mortician, I'd say just go Chainsaw Dismemberment, dude, or Hacked Up for Barbecue. Those two right there, you'll pretty much get the gist of the whole thing.
Totally.
Yeah.
Definitely. Mortified.
Whoa.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Yeah, we lost Casey. Casey had, all right.
Yeah.
So back to you, Kelly. All right. We did we got through the religion shit. All right. We're out of those weeds. Let's go further from there. So you're still rebellious. You're like, whatever, I'm going to be listening to this music, and you found your way. So I want to know when the like more extreme stuff, you know, like Slayer and all that stuff, when did that come?
Yeah, that's easy. So that also hit in high school, probably my senior year. So my senior year is when Master of Puppets came out. I graduated in 86. So definitely dating myself there. But yeah, Master of Puppets came out. all the other bands that came before that was leading up to that, all the Priest, Maiden, and everything. And I had a friend in high school who his older brother was in college, and he came home from college with Slayer, and they turned me on to that stuff. And I heard Haunting the Chapel for the first time in like probably, I don't know when it came out. I think 85, 86 when I heard Haunting the Chapel. And immediately after that, Hell Awaits. And I mean, God, guys, that shit really fucking grabbed hold of me, like, something fierce.
I'm
around that same
jealous.
Yeah,
I was gonna say I'm jealous because I was born in '84. Even though I respect the shit out of that stuff. Oh yeah, but I'm not an old soul necessarily, but my uncle was the guy who was feeding me all that early stuff very early in my upbringing. So I was saying with the Motown, like the doo-wop and all that kind of shit, like even though I was born in '84, I really connected with music from before my time. And so I forget where I was going with that shit. What band were we just talking about? We were talking about Slayer, and then
Haunting the Chapel, stuff like that.
No, it was something else though. I was going into Hellwaits and oh shit, I lost it.
I just saw Merciful Fate, by the way, at Psychofest. It was fucking amazing. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Great time. So they had like this show. It was huge.
Fuck yeah. If you can imagine what it would have been like back then because we're so desensitized now. Everybody's heard the most extreme bands ever. But back then, something like that just plain did not exist.
That's what I was going to say. I was just jealous of that feeling right there, where it's never been something before that time, and then it gets unleashed onto the world. And like I'm just jealous of that because we really don't have that feeling anymore. It's expanded and gotten so folded in on itself that there really isn't anything new anymore.
Yeah.
It's just variations of what's already been done.
Sure. Yeah, and back then, no one had done stuff like this before, dude. Haunting the Chapel, Hell Awaits, and like I said, I got into Fate around the same time. In fact, talking about cassettes, you remember, well, I don't know if you guys actually remember, but you understand that if you had a 90-minute cassette, you could fit 2 40-minute albums on both sides. Right. So I had a lot of those. I had a 90-minute cassette with both of the first Metallica records on it, and I had another one that had, what was it? It was Melissa from Merciful Fate and Hell Awaits on the other side. And I would play side after side, just play it back and forth. It's 2 records over and over and over. And my little cassette Walkman, like going to school, college, whatever. But that's where I was at. And once I got to that point, I was just all in. I was completely all in. At that point, I go back and listen to Motley Crue, Judas Priest, and I was like, it didn't even like get me off in the same way that when I heard this stuff, like made me you go nuts for the music, like this feeling. So, and that's what it was all about. It was really feeling. It was a rebellion, and it was so much power, this energy.
Right, dude. It makes you're hearing something that makes you involuntarily move. It makes you involuntarily feel a certain way. I mean, we've all felt the goosebumps when you hear a riff or a song. That is it. You can't really translate that into words, but it's a connection that you have with this auditorial piece of art. Auditorial is not even a word, but it's an art audio type deal that it like goes into your ears, into your brain, and then throughout your body, making you move and feel a way that you can't really control,
Sure.
And metal's one of those things it did that the most for me, and I'm sure everybody else who's a metalhead has the same story. And it's just really fucking cool that it can penetrate you. I mean, here we go, beat it out. Hashtag
Don't
even need to put it up. Don't even need to. Yeah, it's like that scene in Beetlejuice where they all start like dancing.
Yeah, exactly, dude. That scene is a perfect analogy for what happens when you're at a metal show listening to music that you love. You know, it's gonna just make me wiggle around and
like
seeing my dome.
Like seeing Deicide play the Legion album recently on that tour. We just kept looking at each other, just like, this is so good. Sick.
Yeah. Dude. Yeah. Just all the nostalgia, everything like coming through. It's like, fuck. It's like, sometimes you're like, yeah, I'm down to go see the show, like of this band playing this album. And then you see it and you're like, fuck, like seeing the Sepultura show, like seeing, the Max Cavalera and Igor play Beneath the Remains and Arise and shit all the way through. I was like, fuck. Like,
yeah, you get into that moment and you realize you didn't want to be anywhere else at that moment. This is exactly where you're supposed to be.
Nothing better than a band just killing it, you know?
Yeah, there's people like they were killing it so bad that there was people getting like let out in stretchers. Like there's probably like 6 or 7 people that were just getting knocked out. Like right in front of us for like it was like the people just like this childhood nostalgia craziness that they had, and like and Nate from Ontogeny was one of those people causing a lot of the havoc. He was just losing it. He was losing his shit. It was fucking hilarious.
Shout out Nate.
Yeah, it was fucking rad. But yeah, just seeing that and I felt it too, and I was like, I'm too old to go in the pit,
creeping. Wait, sorry, I'm cutting you off because he's a creeper in there, dude. He comes out.
He was. Oh no, dude! Nate was going fucking nuts. And, like,
it's funny.
He would come give me a hug and shit, and he'd just be like covered in sweat, just like fuck yeah. It's like so excited, and like man, that was like one of those old school SF like Bay Area shows. It was what do you say? It signed on to hear my name. Yeah, no, it was next level. That just like you said, involuntary. It was super involuntary.
Right. Yeah, I would love to see that show actually. That was my buddy Daniel Gonzalez, guitarist from Possessed, who played that tour with those
singer the singer of Possessed came up, like got wheeled up and did a song with them. It was fucking
I saw that online, or at least one of the shows. So yeah, I think it was the San Francisco show. Yeah. Is that where you saw it? Okay, yeah.
Definitely.
Cool.
It was
That's
crazy.
Freaking awesome. Death metal, right? The song Death Metal.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was just nostalgia 101. But anyways.
Whoa, dude, you saw Possessed. Well, you saw the Possessed singer covering the song Death Metal in San Francisco. That's fucking.
What's the Possessed singer's name again? What's his name?
Jeff Becerra.
Okay,
Jeff Becerra.
Right. Yeah, Jeff. That's right. He rolled up to me because I didn't know it was dark. He rolled up to me and I had he had long hair and he rolled up. He was like, "Hey, what's up, man? How's it going?" I'm like, "What's up?" I knew he looked familiar, but I was drinking and stuff. And he goes like, "Hey, what kind of hair gel do you use?" And I was like, "Huh, you have long hair."
You should have been like semen.
No, and I told him like the brand.
No, he
slicks
it back. I think he does.
He?
Yeah.
Okay. No, I thought he was like ripping on me. Later on, I thought he was making fun of me, and I was like, "That's a fucking hilarious thing." Though. But he was starting. He was kind of pomade, and he's all, "Fuck yeah, I'm gonna check it out." And, like looked it up on his phone and shit. And I was like, "All right, well, a guy with long hair that doesn't have any like hair stuff going on."
Well, maybe he was planning on styling up like he didn't chop it.
Yeah, just ripping it back, dude. Looks good. You know?
I kind of wish he was trolling me.
Yeah, I know that'd be more funny. I think he's been having some eye stuff going on.
They just saw that post recently. They can't do some gigs because he's got some surgeries that he needs now.
Oh shit!
Life, guys, it never stops.
It definitely stops.
Well, dude, you should dive into the whole with Pessimist and everything. Dude, so. How did that all come about? Like, where are we at in the timeline?
I kind of want to know where death metal came because we got to Slayer and all that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
What was the first death metal band you heard?
Yeah, I can kind of zip like that up real quick. So basically, I went to so this was the end of high school, right? I started getting into Slayer. I was already into Metallica, just whatever heavy stuff I could get into, and I decided I'm going to go to a year of college, and I decided I'm going to be a classical guitar major. So I go to the University of Delaware for a full year, 2 semesters, studying classical guitar because I wanted to be like Randy Rhoads, I thought that was being classical. That's fucking awesome. and at the same time getting this Slayer, Fate, and these other bands I'm telling you about. And after about a year of that, I remember I was partying with some friends, and they're like, "Hey, what are you going to do when you grow up?" And I'm like, "Well, you know, I'm going to play in a band." You know, and this it's actually these chicks. They were like, "You don't need to go to school for that." I was like, "Wow, you're right." So I dropped out of school and moved to California the first time. Yeah. And this was back in 1989. I moved to LA with some friends, a drummer friend of mine and this guitarist friend of mine. And we were going to have a band. And at that time, we were all into thrash, like Dark Angel, Possessed, Destruction, Creator, Slayer, I mean, Overkill, everything, Anthrax, whatever you could get your hands on, any kind of thrash. But I liked the darker, more extreme, heavier thrash. Like I love Dark Angel. I love Possessed, Creator, Destruction, that kind of stuff, Slayer. And you know, and it was shortly about around that time when all of a sudden there was Earache Records and the death metal stuff came out. And I remember, like, so we had some roadies. I was playing in a thrash band in LA at this time.
What was it called?
It was called Resistance. And funny story, true story. Our drummer, who actually was his band, is a guy now who's a jiu-jitsu fighter. He's very famous, named Eddie Bravo, all around the world.
Oh, shit.
Eddie Bravo, that was my drummer. We were like 19. We both played
10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, dude.
Yeah, that's the guy. Yeah. Yeah, now he's got books and DVDs and dojos all around the U.S.
You're saying he was your drummer?
He was my drummer. We were great friends, man. I was over at his house many times. We saw King Diamond together. We would go to shows together. We played shows together. Yeah, cool cat, you know. Back then he had real long hair. And you can look it up online if you go to his YouTube or whatever. Look up Resistance. They got a lot of, you know, old black and white photos, and the band had demos out and stuff. But anyway, we had a couple of roadies, and these roadies we had, these guys, they turned us on to some death metal. And I remember hearing Entombed and Carcass, Symphonies of Cygnus, and that really blew my mind. But something about the music, it just wasn't as, you know, Dark Angel was way more sinister and faster, and that's the stuff I liked, you know. Yeah. So it wasn't until I heard Morbid Angel, Altars of Madness, where everything fucking changed.
Right.
Yep.
Altars of Madness was like this bridge from extreme dark, you know, death thrash that we called it, to actual death metal. And I thought they were the best death metal band ever.
That's what Paul from Cannibal was saying too, dude. Like when he was a couple weeks ago.
As far as the blast beats and stuff, like for the blasting and speed kind of came into
That's what Paul said. Yeah, he said when he started blasting in Cannibal, it was his interpretation of what he was hearing Pete Sandoval do, but it was through his own skill.
Yeah,
and kind of, you know, the bomb blast, we call it. Well, we either call it the bomb blast or the Cannibal blast, and that's just a really cool story to hear on if you go back, Kelly, listen to him talk about it, because
I did. I actually saw a part of that.
Cool, yeah. And when you hear Pete's style and then his style, it's like, wow, this was somebody who was just trying to, you know, do what somebody else was doing and invented a whole new way of doing it too.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it.
Yeah, love Paul, love all those guys, man. That's Cannibal Corpse, man. And I actually saw some of that clip where he was talking about Pete's style. That was like his rendition or his version of trying to emulate what Pete was doing, and it came out like his own thing, his own style. Right. You know, off blast beats. You know, awesome.
Definitely.
So Altars was the gateway into
Annihilation.
I know.
I actually wasn't even trying to do it, dude. I wasn't trying to. I really swear. I swear.
I'm going to mute myself.
I was a gatekeeper, and then
beat me to it. I was like,
cool.
Well, that's a great way in, dude. It was the same thing. Morbid and Cannibal were my two first death metal records that I purchased, and once that stuff clicks with you, dude,
you're fucked.
You're fucked, dude. You're totally fucked.
Yeah.
In the greatest way, though, you know?
Yeah. In fact, that was probably next. I heard Butchered at Birth, and I was hanging with my buddy on the East Coast, and we actually I don't know if you guys party. We actually dosed on some acid, man, some blotter, and he goes, "Here, man, check this shit out." And he puts on Butchered at Birth, and it's like Slayer, but way more extreme. It's because it's so fucking sick, and even the solos and the leads and everything. And,
hell yeah, dude!
I remember the solos like coming out of the speakers, like it's nuts.
Oh shit! Hell yeah.
So once that stuff's got you, man, you're off to the races.
Yeah, dude.
Yep.
So, and again, I'm going to ask you about friends at that time. Were they discovered? Well, yeah, you said you moved out to LA with these guys. You were finding all that stuff together. So then that's in your head. You're like, I'm going to start playing death metal, or did it take a while?
For me, it was never about what it's called. It was just, I was no matter what, looking for the darkest, heaviest, fastest, most extreme, just the most insane kind of music there was. Mm-hmm. And it, in that metal category. So in fact, if you trace the lineage from Black Sabbath through, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, through Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Ozzy, and then into the thrash stuff, and then here comes the death metal. And so for me, it was just a natural progression. I never worried about what it was going to be called. I mean, back then we called everything was thrash, Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, even like Merciful Fate, Anthrax, and Creator or Overkill was all thrash. It was just all the same stuff, even though it's very, very different musically,
Right.
So.
Right.
But it's so new. Everything's coming on the scene at the same time, and it's so new that you guys didn't have the subgenres and all that shit.
Do you feel like
Do
you feel like the genre change really kind of happened, or like coincidentally with Altars of Madness, kind of with like that's not thrash anymore, or was there?
Yes, it did. Yes, because that was a big step from bands like Dark Angel, Possessed, and Slayer, and all of a sudden you got blast beats. And Trey's solos were out of this world, and David Vince's vocals, he's doing growling, and this was definitely death metal at that point.
Yeah.
That was way beyond anything else that was happening.
That was one question I had for Paul too, that I didn't really, I think you might have misunderstood the question, but like, when did bands go from that kind of deathy kind of like a yellish kind of sound to like the actual growl? Like when was like the actual like the actual growl introduced in, like, was it Morbid Angel?
Well, I think Terrorizer had a lower growl than who was singing for Terrorizer had more of like a lower.
Well, there was the grind stuff like Napalm Death, like coming from this angle, and then there was the death metal stuff. And Napalm Death's not death metal, right? Or are they? I mean, I don't know.
At that time, I would think that the tone of the growl was actually lower in those bands like Napalm and Terrorizer.
So super early, but it was more grind.
It started to get passed off to the death metal guys. Are like, we need to do that guttural shit that they're doing over there.
Kelly, when did it hit
what do
you?
you think, Kelly?
Well, Terrorizer was David Vincent. So
was it?
Yeah.
That was the dude.
He used to play bass. Okay, I don't know who was singing then. Jesse? Was that wasn't Jesse?
I think so. Yeah, I'm gonna look it up right now.
Okay. So I misspoke there, but
no, I got it on my phone.
Stylistically, I would say for me it was Morbid Angel, it was Altars of Madness when I first heard. All the earache bands kind of dropped around the same time though. So you had Entombed and you had the Carcass Symphonies of Sickness.
Yeah,
I mean there was nothing else like that. No one had ever heard anything like Symphonies of Sickness before when that dropped.
Yeah.
There was no other bands like that. Period. With the super low, like back and forth kind of dueling vocals. So, I mean, for me, that all came around the same time. So basically earache, that era. As far as guitar playing, what tied it over for me though was definitely Altars of Madness, was definitely Morbid Angel.
I think that's actually cited as like they figured out how to death metal first on that album.
Right.
You know?
It's like just
like
straight
actual death metal, like the straight up,
and also Pete just going for it on the drums, like
so fast,
this beat just and just like he's always been like that, just like damn Pete,
I know.
But like
it's wild to think that like when you listen to World Downfall though, where he was drumming on that as well with Terrorizer, that was 86, 87,
right? True.
How precise he already was.
Yeah.
At drumming, it
so
blows
tight.
your mind to think like this guy was doing it like this while I was 2 years old, 3 years old.
And there was blueprints to look off somebody else, like oh, that's how you do this. That's how you play that. They were actually just the originators. Those guys. They created that stuff out of. There was no playbook. There was no manual of like, here's how you do this. They were making it up.
There's really one other band that never gets cited in the early blast beat, emergence, which is Repulsion, which is like gore grind back in the early 80s and mid 80s. You listen to that, he's doing his own version of blasts too. I think he talks about how his hi-hat hand was slower, how we do you hear the halftime blasts. He was doing them like that with his snare and his feet going off, but I
always thought for me that it was the first blast beat, I mean like the actual metal blast beat was in SOD on that song Milk. They did like 84 with it's like a crazy blast. It's like Charlie just going like it's like for probably 20 seconds.
The SOD little blip of a blast.
It's like an actual blast. Like if you listen to it, it's like what 1983, 1984, something like that when that came out.
I think there's that one song where like Lars does this blast.
Lars blast.
Well, they wouldn't call him a blast beat back then though. Too, it was just like who could do this thrash beat as fast as they could. The split time, we call it a split time now, but it's really just a thrash beat sped up to this crazy speed.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Guitars back then, there was not even words for things like that were being developed yet. Like how we were saying, there wasn't really death metal yet or whatever. It was the same for guitars. Like now, what we call sweeps. Back then, we didn't have a word for it. They weren't called arpeggios. We called them rakes. Like rakes. You rake it. Like it was a rake. That's what that was called. Shit. Later, we called it sweeps, and somebody goes, "Oh, they're arpeggios." Like, oh, okay. But the
rakes are a different thing now. Rakes are a different thing now. Rakes are like like a muting kind of a muting like yeah.
There's a microphone right there, dude.
Well, that's what Guitar Pro calls it, so we all follow that as our guideline now.
It's like a little upwards like squiggle thing, right? It's like
or that you guys are kind of making me think of like when you used to have the comb in your back pocket and you just run your thumb along it.
Yeah, it's like a backwards.
Well, it's like I always think of that Pink Floyd solo, like like that on the Comfortably Numb.
Totally. I'm seeing Roger Waters. I'm seeing Roger Waters tomorrow. I'm fucking pretty stoked.
Oh shit! Oh really?
Yeah. Nice. I'm flying the next day to go see Rammstein.
Oh man,
where's Rammstein playing?
They're playing in LA. I just want to see that fucking live show. That $2 million a night live show. I'm trying to see that.
Right.
Like, can Jesus?
I'm seeing Maiden on Sunday.
Maiden? I need to see Maiden. Where are they coming on? Are they on tour? What's going on with Maiden?
They played in LA last night.
Yeah, they're on tour, dude. Yeah. The fuck? Trivium's the opening band, dude.
What the fuck? Alex is playing Maiden.
Shout out Alex Bent, dude. Look at these videos, bro.
Okay. So this is sick. They were posting all these videos yesterday. It was like in Anaheim, and it was like at that like indoor, I don't know what it's called, the convention center, I guess. The Anaheim. I've never been there, but it's like super sick. Like it was just packed, dude, and they're just playing like it's like all these cool videos. I was like, damn, you guys, it's pretty dope.
Dude, this makes me feel so good because I mean, just to give the quick little thing on Alex Ben, I toured with him when he was 19, guys, and even at that age, I knew that this guy was gonna be something. And now
just
here
his
we are.
Attitude and his playing and everything. Like he has such a positive attitude and like easy to work with. And
I love him to death, dude. He's a bro for life, and I'm really proud of him for progressing in his career. And here we are, dude.
He deserves everything.
He's opening up for Iron Maiden this week, this fucking weekend, guys. Like I prophesized this shit.
That's crazy.
That's so rad. Good for him, man.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, but yeah, man. Where were we, dude?
We were at Death Metal Altars of Madness, dude.
All right. Yes.
We're at Cali Death.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know where you want to go from there, but that opens the world of death metal. And,
well, we like, yeah. So, name some other shit that was happening. Like, where did you guys start going to shows and seeing these more extreme bands?
Well, yeah. So I got some cool stories about that. I actually moved from LA. I moved back to the East Coast, and I moved down to Florida, just south of Tampa, Florida. And this was in 1992. And I was playing a local band called Cauldron with one of my buddies from high school, a guy named Matt Barlow, and his older brother Jim played guitar. We were in this band called Cauldron. Well, I don't know if the name Matt Barlow rings a bell, but after that band split, he went and joined Iced Earth. So it's my buddy Matt from high school. And we had this band Cauldron in 92 around Tampa, Florida. And we would go to shows around there, the Masquerade. That's funny. I'm really feeling like an old timer right now. But Ybor City, Masquerade, and went in 1992 and saw the Tampa Bay Metal Awards. It's where I met Glenn Benton, saw Deicide play, saw Brutality play, I saw Disincarnate play, Acheron, Janitortures played that year, met tons of people. There was like this electric kind of energy in the people. We were forming bands, like people were finding out about death metal, like, oh, you play death metal? Let's do a band. Like, and everybody was trying to out heavy the other bands, like, oh, those guys are cool, but we're going to have like obituary parts and make it more, sicker. And like, there was this vibe, man. There's a very cool energy going on.
Hell yeah.
I remember seeing another show up there around that same time, which was a tour, Cannibal Corpse, Obituary, Malevolent Creation, and Agnostic Front opened the tour. And I remember seeing Brett singing for Malevolent and was just like blown away. All these bands were so killer. And I was like, I was like 20. Let's see what I would have been, 23 back then. So those were really amazing times for me too. And it really feels cool to have been there while that shit was happening.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
Obituary this was, let's see, before World Demise. What was it? The Incomplete.
Incomplete, yeah.
Yeah. Cannibal had this way before a while or anything like that. So what was it, 92? What Cannibal had, I think they just had Butchered at Birth.
They were getting ready to drop.
Yeah, so I mean,
because the Bleeding was 93 or I think
it came out the next year. Exactly. Yeah, the Bleeding, and then Legion came out. So I mean,
right.
In a way, I was just right there. And I remember going to a pawn shop looking for CDs because I got a new CD player. CDs were like a brand new thing. And, I didn't have money or anything, so I would go to a pawn shop. And I went to a pawn shop and I found some used CDs. And the first two CDs I bought was Blessed Are the Sick, Morbid Angel, and Time Does Not Heal from Dark Angel.
Wow.
That's my first CDs. I still have them. And it's the only CDs I had, so I'd play them over and over and over.
Yeah.
Of course. But
hell yeah.
It was really cool
at a pawn shop. What a trip.
Yeah, in Tampa or whatever, Florida.
I've expanded into record stores for us, like Amoeba Records was or Streetlight Records in Santa Cruz, that we'd go there and I'd still be hitting the bargain bins because you could find some gems in the bargain bins, dude.
Yep.
$3 to $5 a used CD. Some guy got over metal, and all of a sudden it's now another man's trash is your treasure, dude. And so many great things that I found in those bargain bins, dude. I'd spend hours in Amoeba just flipping through every single CD to just hope that I would find this Baphomet record or something like that,
Yeah. Or something that looked death metal. It's like it's finding that treasure that you put your time into, and you're not just going right to the metal section and be like, oh, under D, let's go find this. You know what I mean? Deicide. It's like you go into the bargain bin and find like some weird band that just the logo looks cool and just fucking
Cadaver. something weird, Cadaver Bands, you know. Yeah, some obscure death band from back in the day.
You guys like remember like what it's like to like have a CD in mind that you like want and you like you're trying to find, but you like keep going and it's like, oh, it's not there. But like, man,
couple of misses,
that. My friends got that fucking CD, but like I wish I had it. You know?
I remember I had to order a bolt thrower one time at a record store. It's like maybe Sam Goody or Tower Records. Went in like, yeah, I gotta get this bolt thrower album. It's called War Master. Gotta get it. I ordered on cassette because I couldn't afford anything. You know, the cassette was like $6.50, and that's a lot of dough. And they ordered it. It came in like 3 weeks later. I had to drive to the store to go get it. You know,
damn.
Yeah. And that 3 weeks, you're thinking about it every single day.
These days, I have no idea the struggle was
falling
real back then.
Night, like, oh, dude, that bolt thrower.
It's right here. You got to order it from Earache. Their records was on. So
that's what made it sound so much sicker. And when you got it, like it was the so much suspense to get it. Like you couldn't just listen to it. You had to wait for it.
I mean, what Joel was saying earlier, you can go on Spotify and find that album right now.
Yeah,
within a second.
I could yell to Alexa, and Alexa will just play it right now.
You have to get
I'm taking a dump, like it'll just come on.
It's definitely crazy. Spoiled, and I miss those. I miss those adventures. That's what they are. It's an adventure to go find something or go wait for something.
It also created that friend who could just like. He like had this insane collection. And he's like, all right, dude, I'm going to show you some shit. And you're like, oh yeah, man. Like pull out all these CDs or vinyls or whatever. And, you know, but now it's just like, oh yeah, dude, I already found that. I heard it's on my,
it was a competition back. I mean, you know, it was like back in the day, it was a competition, like who had the sickest new stuff. Like, and then, you know, trying to show the person that has the sickest new stuff, like trying to show them something they haven't heard. They're like, I don't know. I don't really like it very much. Like, it was like an internal competition with each other. Let's go. Like, no, I got to find the sickest thing.
Nate just made me laugh again so hard in my mind, because when you would go to Amoeba and you go to the metal section, there's, you know, the 1, 2, or 3 employees that work there that actually know metal. And they would have little sections of like their picks, dude. And Brandon's picks, I totally remember that, dude. But what was hilarious is the next one. Pull up the next one. Oh, Steve liked black metal that was recorded with a potato, dude. Recorded with a potato, dude.
Nate coming in hot. Oh my god.
Oh, I love it, dude. And I love some of that potato black metal too, dude.
Oh my god. Yeah. No, that's a thing too. It's like, you know, there's the people, kind of like people I want to feel like they kind of like wanted to be super different, so they kind of went to like this avant-garde shitty sound, like to be like, fuck that refined riff, like I want to record it in a potato, you know, or like you're with a potato, you know what I mean? I want to, potato's a bad word, but just like using a trash can with a cassette player on record, and I want to hear that, like that fucking, what that real raw fucking black metal with no bass and just only like, and it kind of went backwards for a lot of these, like, you know, people being elitist and wanting to find and be that guy to find all the music.
Another rebel style of mentality. That's all it really is.
Yeah.
You know, and they did, you know, with black metal, that did start a whole new thing, new subgenre of metal.
Kind of trying to start the same thing that Kelly was talking about in the beginning of Black Sabbath. They're trying to like intrigue and scare people, you know, like with a different sound, like make it sound like evil and like shitty. Because I mean, as a musician, like hearing the recordings, like, oh, what are you guys trying to do here? But it did jarred me, you know. I was like hearing it going like, whoa, what the fuck's going on? Like it kind of definitely made me perk up a little bit. Like, I don't get it. Like, why don't I get it? You know, like going from that to, you know, from death metal, it's all like all these like crazy riffs. It's like it's like,
well, black metal came to me in the whole rebellious thing against Christianity. I'm not trying to bring it back to religion, but I did study Satanism for a little bit and called myself a Satanist for a little bit. And you just naturally find the black metal in that.
Anthony is such a Satanist.
Nate, this is what metal
right
sound like if all the mics were covered by my ass. That's exactly it, dude. After you ate a bunch of potatoes, dude.
Oh my god.
Bunch of In-N-Out fries. Bunch of In-N-Out fry farts, dude.
Holy shit.
So back to Possess or Pessimist.
No, actually, I want to get to okay. So so Kelly, you were coming across all this death metal and all this shit. I want to know about the first incarnation of a death metal band you were in.
Okay, so right then, like as I mentioned, I was playing in a band called Cauldron down in Florida. I moved from there back to Baltimore, and it was very shortly after that, around 92, where I got back in touch with some high school friends of mine on the East Coast, a drummer, and he knew a bass player guy. And we got together and started playing covers. And, a few weeks into that, I go, here's some originals guys I've been working on. And I go, I want to call this Pessimist. This is a name I'd had since 1989 out in California. The first time I was out here before I moved, I had the name and I drew the Pessimist logo and I had song titles and I'd even done like a really shitty demo tape with a live drummer and then overdubbed the guitars on a boombox that I had and just I still have the tape. I mean, it's like, hold on, here, seriously, like literally, this is the cassette. Yeah. The songs on there and everything, and really cool stuff there. So I mean, it's not worth releasing or hearing or anything. But
what year did you record that?
Like 89, 90.
No way, dude. That's so sick.
Yeah. And I mean,
time capsule, dude.
Fuck yeah, dude.
It's totally. And we didn't really know what to do with it back then because it wasn't like now, like, here's the formula to how to make it in a band. Like, to me, our idea was like, well, you use a tape to get gigs in clubs, and then you're going to play clubs enough to where you get a following. And then when you get enough people coming out to see you, a record label exec's going to magically show up one day and give you a record deal. That's how we thought it worked. You're just going to write songs, play shows, and just be metal as fuck. And one day you're going to get discovered. And I mean, of course, it doesn't really work. Like everything was pay play back then. But anyway, so I had this tape. I did the Florida thing, and I moved back up north to Baltimore, or actually Delaware, which is where I was from. And I go, hey guys, we're going to call this Pessimist, and we started playing out immediately. We went and played opening like an open mic night at this little redneck club out in Seaford, Delaware, with 10 people in this little farming, hunters and farmers. And so maybe a few weeks later, we answered an ad in a paper from, I think it was called Music Monthly from out of Baltimore. And there was a singer and a guitar player. They had split from their band. That turned out to be Rob Klein and Tony Mallory. And they were like King Diamond and a bunch of, the singer sang kind of high stuff, but he wanted to do more, lower growly vocals. But again, it was the very beginning of stuff. It wasn't like anyone knows how to sing like that. You have to learn, figure out how to do it.
Right. You guys are inventing it.
You know what I mean? We hooked up with them, and all of a sudden, now we got a full lineup. So that was the first complete Pessimist lineup, was in 1993. And our singer had a van so we could play shows, and he had a basement where we could practice at his parents' house. And I ended up living there for like a whole summer, and we just lived there, and we made demos, and we'd run cassette copies of the demo. And I was working in a record store, so we'd make flyers for the shows we were playing. We played everywhere, little shitty clubs, Tuesday night for $10. We did not give a fuck. We played everywhere. Any show we could play a show, and we did it. And
shout out to parents that allow rehearsals to happen at their house, because one, it saves your kid a ton of money because your kid doesn't have any of it to get a
mom.
rehearsal.
Thanks, Dad.
That's what I'm saying. And to put up with whatever's going to happen in that rehearsal, you're hearing it, your whole house rumble the whole time that people are playing metal in it, and
it was loud.
It's kudos to those parents that know that they're giving the outlet.
Sucks.
To
it sucks for them. It sucks for them, like auditorily.
But they know that it's
it sucks.
And they're still putting up with it and wanting your art to grow. You know, it's
fucking parents that allow their kids to play drums are pretty cool, dude.
Hell yeah,
they're fucking legends.
That just shows that their kids being able to let their kids express themselves is more important than their comfort.
I mean, nowadays it's like, you have the electric drums, which are a lot more affordable than obviously they were back in like the 90s, but if back then it's like acoustic drums, neighbors are going to be like, what's going on over there? It's going to be like a thing. They're going to have to deal with a bunch of issues. They're jumping through hoops for you to fucking keep progressing in your art. Like, that's huge.
So Kelly, when you say are you talking about the same guys you were in LA with? Did they move out to the East Coast with you and then back up, or did you find guys when you got it back? Okay.
Yeah, no, at this point it's a whole new different group of friends.
So you got back up to Delaware and found dudes that were skilled enough to play.
Guys I went to high school with. So I knew a guy. Remember, I was in marching band playing saxophone, and my friend Robert Westbrook played drums in the marching band. I hit him up. Hey, what are you doing? Let's get together, play some riffs. I mean, and we were doing covers from like Sepultura, Obituary, Black Sabbath, just kind of whatever was, fun to play and not too hard to play.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we just kind of
sick, man.
So you're starting to gig around Delaware and
moved to Baltimore after that. Moved to Baltimore and talking about the guy's parents, Rob, our singer, it was his house, his parents' house, and his mom was super cool. We called her Pessimist Mom. She was Pessimist, like Pessimist Mom.
Rad.
And I'm living in the basement and stuff, and she'd make us food and stuff. And she would actually drive us on these 2-hour road trips to go play these shows in the van, so that we could go and just party, party our asses off and get all crazy and whatever, drinking and stuff. And, and she would take photos of the band and drive us back home, make sure we all got back home safe. And so Pessimist Mom, Rob's mom, that was very cool.
You should show her some Dreamer. Check it out.
Yeah, big shout to Pessimist Mom in the early days. And she's on our thanks list and stuff like that too. So
that's so cool.
Can I ask you the question about the name Pessimist? Because pessimist, being a pessimist is kind of being like falling back from things, and it's also like a brutal metal band name. Like, where did you come up with that name, and how did you think it worked in the mix of things?
Pretty easy. Sure, thanks. It's a great question. I came up with that in LA in '89, like I said, and I had asked someone. It was actually my other drummer, his mom, and I go, "Hey, what's a word for somebody who's just obsessed with everything that's dark?" Because I was just into dark and evil and heavy and stuff, and I go, "What's somebody who's like that?" And she goes, "A pessimist." And I go, "That's a great fucking name." I went and wrote it down. I actually got the tattoo now, Pessimist, and I made the star, 9-pointed star with and there's a letter on each. I don't know if you can let me do this. PESSIMI. It goes all around, and it's a whole concept. Thanks. It's a whole concept. I made the letters go counterclockwise because it's negative, and there's 9 points, but 5 of them point down because it's negative, and only 4 pointing up. So like a pentagram kind of thing, but that same principle. And the eye in the middle is that's how you see the world through that. So there's this whole concept around pessimism.
I love that, dude.
Thank you. Thanks, man.
That's super cool.
Truly, down to the point where it even goes counterclockwise. I'm like, oh, you thought of every angle of this.
Everything, dude. Well,
yeah.
You've had since '89 to think about all this. So
1989, yep. And then kind of so we had the first full lineup in like '93, and like I said, we just started recording demos, writing songs, playing everywhere we could around Baltimore, Virginia, DC, trying to get out of state, printing our own T-shirts in the basement. Like we had our own what do you call that? A silk screen thing. Yep. Rob and his mom showed us how to make. We knew how to make that. You put a shirt on there and with the ink and make the ink. T-shirts hanging all around the basement so they could dry. And we did everything ourselves, man. Made our own cassettes with photocopy down at Xerox copy at Kinko's the little J cards and cut them out and made everything ourselves.
She really was a mom, dude. She was with you guys on all aspects of that, dude.
So cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a big deal. You know, and that was kind of the only way to do things back then. It's not like now where you can just get your own whatever made guitar picks and everything, you know.
Right.
Sure. Right.
And it makes the gratuitous aspect of it really come to full fruition because of all the work that you're putting into it and the passion that's going into the work. It's just all this layered thing that happens when you finally have this final product, then you take it out and go do gigs and here's my shit. And then you get the feeling of handing off your stuff to people and you're like, I hope this person now it's out there and hopefully like, yeah, dude. I love that.
Yeah, like it comes from your heart. You put your blood and sweat into making this, this creative project, this flow,
Although we're younger, dude, I still got that. And I know that Casey got that at one point too. Like with my first death metal band, Carnivorous, we made 300 copies of our demo. We recorded it all ourselves in our rehearsal studio, printed every single CD, did the whole deal, 300 copies. Then it went out with Severed Savior on a Cannibal tour. And that's kind of what helped Carnivorous become like a little thing, is because our drummer we shared with Severed before I was actually in the band. But that feeling of I did it, dude. We got the 300 made before the tour came out, came. Then they went out there and it was just given away free with every purchase at their merch table. And I'm like, dude, the feeling of like, then you get the response back and you're like, yes, this is all we wanted to do. We just wanted to put it out into the world and have the world talk back to us about it, you know?
Yeah.
You remember sending like physical packages to labels?
Mm-hmm.
So like you'd put that
press pack,
promo package, you like put your demos and your stuff and you'd send it to them, and then it's like, oh, they got like piles of like. And I remember like people saying back in the day, oh, you got to put like in an envelope that's like a crazy color so it stands out above the piles of like, or something like that.
Yeah,
it's like that. Remember Airheads? It was Brendan Fraser, like Airheads. Okay. Like he's breaking in. He's all breaking into the fucking Capitol Records or something. He's like just like trying to, let me just talk to a fucking executive, dude.
Yeah.
Like back then, that's how they had. There was no other way. It's like, who's gonna listen to you? You're playing all these shows. Like you have to get it in that guy's hands. The main guy that's like in charge of the A&R guy. You have to get his hands. Yep. So that's the whole point back then, was to get it to him. But yeah, like nowadays it's like, oh, it's just email a fucking PDF.
Email your like private Bandcamp tracks to
now it's
like unlisted tracks to whatever,
they're a business, so they're looking at how many fucking followers, how many fucking plays on YouTube or something. They're looking for like specific metrics now. Back in the day it used to just be like, they used to, and I remember Frank Zappa actually being interviewed recently, or not recently, Jesus, definitely not recently. I was watching it recently, but it was talking about, he was talking about like, I remember when like labels used to take chances on different styles of music. They would hear something new and be like, let's fucking try this, and then it turned into what he said, like all these kind of hipster people that like, I know what's best and I know it will make money. And then it became like more just kind of like more focused on like, this is catchy, let's do this. It's not like, let's not take a chance on a new style of music, because that's not a good investment, And he was there's a big interview on YouTube about it, of him like talking about when music shifted from like the more creative side of people, like were into like making a fucking or an investment in like a crazy new thing that just sounds wacky as fuck and no one's heard it before, to like what's going to pay out for it's like, now we need to make the uppers happy, so what's going to be like the catchy thing,
it's going to be the mass produced product.
And that's like that's what he said, when music shifted kind of like from the creative to like more pop, like just selling kind of business model, which
I think that's sorry.
Before
cut you off, bro. I think that has a lot to do with the label. If you're signing to a big, huge label who's only solely focused on, like you said, pleasing the higher ups or just only numbers, that's what you're going to get. Or if you go with a more underground label who's more concerned with just the music, then
doing it for the love, not for the bottom line. Yeah, definitely. You're right.
For passion. What is it? Passion, not for fashion. There you go.
There you go.
Exactly.
Kind of thing. So,
good phrase.
I mean, we send our tapes everywhere, dude. I still have a rejection letter from Metal Blade Records, which is it's kind of cool. Not everybody has one of those, but
I would have framed it.
They sent it. I still have it signed by Marco Barbieri, who was A&R at Metal Blade at the time. He went on to become president for Century Media for many years, and has his own label now, M Theory Music. But and Marco, who used to run Illiterature magazine, and before that it was called No Glam Fags back in the day. So you guys probably have to look that up. I mean, it's really old stuff, but you heard of Illiterature magazine, right? Or maybe that was before.
No, actually, I haven't.
So that anyway, Marco was A&R for Metal Blade, and I still have the letter. It's typed out, but his actual signature, and thanks a lot, guys. We love what you have here. We'd love to hear more later on. Please keep in touch. Just nothing at this time. And we got it. We were so excited. I mean, it was a big deal to even get a response from a label back then.
I mean, that's also to keep. They can keep the link open too. If they're sending you a letter, then that means if something comes up, then they can still reach out to you, and they're still interested in a way, but you have to do more, and they'll
for example, I sent a demo to Metal Blade in 2004, 2003, and this, and then I never got a letter, dude. But it's all good, But I'm just saying, it's an honor. The letter is an honor,
It really is. Somebody just posted in the chat. They have a rejection. Oh, email.
Oh, Nate does.
Oh shit, dude.
Oh wow, nice. Dude. There you go.
Nate,
that's a good thing.
Send it to us, Nate. We'll put it on our story.
Totally.
Yeah.
Which I think that Ontogeny deserves all the love, dude. I'm gonna shout.
Yeah.
I was repping the hoodie last week, dude. That band, dude. Nate, I'm one of your biggest fans, dude. So I'm all I'm saying is go check out Ontogeny, dude, and Anomalous, dude.
What Kelly's talking about is very true.
Max is actually streaming right now too, so you guys can duel it right now.
Well, no, Kelly, we're talking about going from we were, ODS unique leader with Decrepit and stuff, and then when I was in Decrepit, they went to Nuclear Blast, and all of a sudden we're on this Nuclear Blast, and we have people to call if anything goes wrong. We have it's they're very professional, but they definitely have it's a different vibe to them. Even though Nuclear Blast is very cool, they never said anything was oh, I don't like the song, or it should be redone differently or something like that. But they were still, it was just a different kind of oh shit, we can't fuck up now. It's we were all rather with Unique Leader, it's we can just be relaxed, do what we want, make our own decisions, not worry about any kind of reaction. But we'd have to call, managers would call us going oh, this is going on. But it's it was just more to deal with, but bigger tours, huge tours, which was cool. But nowadays, I think, I don't know. I mean, if you have the band camps and all these things, there's bands coming out that are being very successful, just saying, fuck them. I just need a fucking people to believe in us and a booking agent. And we're in, we're going to play with all those bands because we're on the same roster as all the bands on the Metal Blades and all that stuff. We're going to tour with them. So it's there's not really a need if there's not really much, we were talking about earlier, physical media that needs to be pushed out. It's just going to be streaming. There's labels are kind of they have to figure something out pretty soon, because people are going to start, whatever just is getting hits on Spotify and Instagram and all these social media things
it's already a thing, really. They're already battling DIY and independent music now, because it really has changed. The environment is now something that's totally different than it was.
This is a good question right here, actually, Kelly, for you. So was Longstreth the drummer when you were in Angel Corpse?
No, it was a different drummer. Oh jeez, I'd have to. Can I get back to you on that? It was a different drummer. Yeah, for sure. It was a long shot though.
Was it Reno?
No, I'm trying. Oh God, I can't think of the guy's name because Paul Collier. Paul Collier from up in the Midwest there, Michigan or somewhere up there. Nice. If you look at him up, I'm sure you can find him.
Oh yeah. Fuck yeah.
All right, so back to the more beginnings of Pessimist and Pessimom helping you guys out. Like I love all that. So you pressed up or you made all the, was it tapes or CDs that you guys made in the beginning?
Yeah, tapes. These CDs weren't even out yet. I mean, this was in '93.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, I guess there were CDs, but not for us yet. So, we're still doing sets.
Just up and down the coast, or we?
Yeah, we're playing
okay.
Yeah, DC, Virginia, Maryland, Delaware, trying to get up to PA. And basically around 97, we go, and 96, we go, and we had enough songs for a full length. And we go, well, we're going to do what we always do. We're going to record a demo, but it's going to be a full length demo. So we recorded 10 songs in a fucking studio, and we started sending this out as a pre-production full length album. And that's where Lost Disciples stepped in. So we're literally at practice one day in the basement, and Pessimom shouts down the stairs, "Hey guys, there's a record label on the phone for you guys."
Oh, she must have been so excited too.
We're all covered around the phone. The guy's going, "Yeah, you guys sound awesome. I'd love to sign you." Like, we're like, "Wow," it was a big deal back then. Little tiny label. And he sent us the contract, and the record was already recorded, so all we had to do was sign everything away, and they printed it for us. They pressed it for us, and then immediately, boom, we're getting radio airplay. We're in the CMJ College Music Journal top 30 nationwide. Hitting the top 10 on regional, local radio stations, getting in magazines, ads, doing interviews, getting reviews for the CD, getting show opportunities. Now we start playing bigger festivals, like we play our first big fest is Milwaukee Metal Fest in 1998.
Which is King Diamond one?
Yeah, King Diamond, Merciful Fate played that year. It was awesome. Death played. Suffocation played. It was the last year they played that year before they took a break.
Right. Despise the Sun era.
Emperor. Yeah. So it was amazing.
Do you remember Cole Ross being on drums with them?
Or was it Tally?
Oh, with Suffo?
Yeah,
I don't remember. I think it might have been Tally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dude, that's fucking rad, dude.
Yeah. So it just went from like 1 minute we're a demo band to boom, all of a sudden we were signed. And this is before like Nile wasn't even out yet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have one of the original Nile demo tapes where their drummer Pete Hamora, I don't know if you know that guy, mailed me, "Here, check out our tape." We're just like, wow. We ended up playing some shows together with those guys, but they, just to give you a time reference of like the things were way different then. Dying Fetus was a local band. Dying Fetus was from Maryland.
Maryland, right? I was going to say, right? Yeah.
We played shows with those guys before. All they had out was demos, that Bathe in Trail tapes. They weren't signed to Relapse yet. We were all just local bands. So
that's super exciting, dude. Like, it's making me excited just hearing you talk about it right now.
Yeah,
sure, man. And it's neat to see bands around.
Hamora.
Yeah, Hamora.
That guy, there. He's a really fucking cool guy too. I've talked to him a bunch, like online. He's a really nice. I never met him in person, but super nice guy. Yeah, but we love the Dying Fetus guys too, man. We've done some shows with them, and we know those. I mean, dude, they're so fucking
tours
good.
too.
Anybody want to help us be able to get a hold of those guys? We'd love to talk to them.
I know they don't have social media. We're trying to get a hold of them. We love them.
That's what I'm saying. If you're a listener and you know how we can get a hold of them, please
who's got Trey's number?
Podcast social medias.
I had Trey's number actually, but I don't give it out. Really? But there's someone in the chat says they know Paul Collier was from St. Louis. Sick Drummer magazine. There it is.
Yeah. St. Louis.
There you go.
Yeah, shout out Sick Drummer magazine, dude.
Okay, Fetus and Misery Index Jam Rooms. Yeah, we used to play at the same studio, Orion Studios up in Baltimore, with all them cats, all them guys, man. So
sick.
And it's cool, it's exciting to see your friends when the bands are getting heavier and they're getting noticed, they're getting picked up, they're getting signed, or they get magazines, and you're like, fuck yeah, bro. You're happy for them. It was a very supportive kind of scene,
Mm-hmm.
We'd have the new Metal Maniacs comes out, like, oh, did you see so-and-so on the cover of down at the 7-Eleven? They got the new Metal Maniacs magazine. And, a couple times we were in there and people would tell us, and it was this cool kind of like this camaraderie, this kind of fucking scene coming up, man. Pretty neat.
Yeah, dude. I mean, that's kind of like how communities happen in these underground scenes, like having a specific venue that everybody goes to shows all the time. Like you go for us, it was the Pound. You going to the Pound? Yeah, dude. Fuck yeah. Fetus is playing, whatever. And to have that community, it kind of, I mean, everybody likes to be a part of something bigger than themselves, and when you're into something underground, then you find a bigger version of this thing that you're like, I thought I was the only one, because even though I was in a bigger town than I'm still a small town. There's only like 40,000. I don't know, probably smaller for you, but still only a couple guys at my high school that were into metal, the real extreme metal. And to have a place that you could call a home for the weekend, where that there's going to be a sanctuary where you're going to have other people that are like-minded.
Is that because you went to high school in Hawaii?
Oh, aloha. I wish I went to high school in Hawaii. If I went to high school in Hawaii, dude, we wouldn't be doing this podcast right now, because I would be listening to reggae. I'd still be wearing flip-flops, though. Just board shorts.
That's one to clarify. Okay.
No, I know what you're saying. I mean, when we had the Paul Ryan episode, because Paul's like our close friend, we were talking because we know him as a San Francisco guy, or we go to the San Francisco shows, and that's Paul Ryan's origin, obviously in Kansas City or Missouri too, or Topeka or whatever. But like, he recommended this documentary to watch, which is it's called The Outhouse. And it's about this venue. I don't know if you ever got to play it, by the way, because it's like this old venue it's somewhere in the middle of like the cornfields of Kansas. And you had to drive literally an hour of just nothing to get there. And when you got there was no security. It was all self-regulated. It's called The Outhouse. There's no place to piss except outside. There's no place to shit except outside. It's like, there's no bathroom facilities. It's all self-regulated. So it's like if someone was running amok, then the crowd and the people there and the fans there had to take hold of it and handle it. And it was
so sick, dude.
I know, sick, Anthony. But no, it was like, watch the documentary on that, and I was like, what? Like all the big bands played there, like all the big death metal bands. I'm sure, like Cannibal, Dying Fetus, but like bands like that were coming out back then, like just off the top of my head, like Green Day, Melvins, all these other bands, like this like early fucking bands played there. It's this little fucking shit shack in the middle of fucking nowhere, like, and the community that I saw from that, I was like, whoa, okay, well, that's a little bit more deeper than the Pound, because like you're in the middle of nowhere. So if you break a leg, if you get cut or something, like you got to wait 45 to an hour for any kind of like help to come. You're stuck out there. So check that documentary out. It actually kind of, I thought like with the Pound in San Francisco that we had like a big community there, but I was like, once you're in like a place with because the Pound was run by Hell's Angels and shit, so it was like if you fucked up there, you were gonna get like cracked and thrown in the fucking bushes. Like that's how it worked. Like just instant regulation. Like this guy's pissing off the van, he's out. Like we'll take care of him. You know what I mean? Like that's how the Pound was. This place is like, well, he's just hammered. We'll let him ride and do his thing, and until like he makes a real big mistake, and then he's out. But yeah, no, it's those kind of fucking communities make me look at my face.
All right.
At that point, those guys, you're so ingrained. That's going to be such a tight knit community. These are going to be people who believe in death metal, believe in putting the shows on, and believe in people not get, if they wise up and they get their ass cracked, to kick them out or they get their head split or whatever. That's a whole different, right? You got to handle it. That's your own security. So that's going to be a tight community. That's going to be a real extreme kind of situation, you know, I would say.
But I think that most people in those communities are just really just looking out for each other. So the bad apples are really going to get weeded out quick. The guys who are really trying to fuck people up and all that kind of stuff, like you're going to stand out because we're actually just there to have fun and get some aggression out. You know, it's a therapy without talking to another person about your bullshit. You know, you're just physically and mentally getting it out, you know.
And I like the community code of conduct too. It's like a code of conduct with your community. It's not like someone that's being like an ultra like regulator. It's like no, he's violated this, so he cannot come in anymore. It's not like a security guard going like, no, he bumped into someone kind of weird, so he's out. You know what I mean? It's like being reasonable under the standards of like that moral fabric that they've created in that, like with no security. It's all self-regulated. So yeah, anyways, not to go too deep on that.
When dudes get knocked down in the pit, I always mad respect to the people who pick them right back up. Like if I had a mad amount of money, I'd beeline to that dude, like, let's go to the bar right now. You need a beer for what you just did for that person that went down. Like that's the mentality that we should have at every metal show. Like, yeah, we're getting a little aggressive. We're going to bump into each other harder than you may want. But if somebody goes down, you pick that person up next, even if you know, you didn't do it, get that person back up off the ground. Cause we're not really here to get hurt. We're here to just get a little aggression out and have fun, dude. That's really what it's all about.
Cover me real fast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We'll just continue that. Yeah.
Yes.
So dude, sick drummer and Nate have been coming through with the fucking
with the heat in the chat.
No,
yeah, some funny shit.
Dude, Pessimom.
Pessimom is great, dude.
That's really great. It's so funny.
I feel like in a lot of like these band communities and these bands, like there is like that kind of mom figure that kind of, there is always one, you know, that's like, you know, in San Diego, remember the girl that was Brick by Brick? Fuck, I forget her name. God damn it. But she was like that for that community there. Where the house where, you know, where Deeds fell off for saying,
oh, shit up the balcony situation.
Yeah, it's like, there's always kind of like, I noticed with these kind of bands, like these death metal bands, like when you go and you make friends with them and stuff, there's like a mom figure somewhere in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what's Ordeus Mortem?
If you didn't have an Ordeus Mortem, but we have all had.
Have you seen that shit? The shit that Carrie bought?
The shirt.
Yeah, the baby shirt.
Like
yeah,
yeah. What is it? What is it again?
Possession. That's like
Spawn of Conception. Conception.
Well, the Odious Mortem one was like something boredom.
Obvious boredom.
Obvious boredom.
It's like a little baby.
It's for, they're little like onesies for the babies.
What's their Instagram? It's like the metal dads or something
like that.
Metal dads collect. I think something like that.
And I've told him like 4 or 5 months ago I wanted to share.
You're part of that, Anthony, because you're a dad.
I didn't know they made merch like that though.
I know. No, he
I thought
literally said I was
going
to mention it on the podcast. No, I literally told him, like, he messaged me a while ago, and I was like, "Fuck, I need to share that on the podcast," and I have forgotten. But we will get that.
I'm actually part of that group.
I'm going to follow, even though I'm not a dad. It's a Metal Dad Collective. Just
Metal
like
Dad
Instagram that.
Yeah, I got it.
It's great. Dude.
Metal Dad Collective. Oh yeah, I think it's that.
Yeah, shout out Derek. I think Derek's the guy who is.
Or is that the wrong one?
Derek McCubbin.
Derek McCubbin. I'll definitely I'll get that shit lined up for the next episode just to show it.
Metal Dad merch.
That's all good. We'll get it set up for next time because I want to like actually take pictures of it and get it like.
Oh no, sorry. Here it is. Metal Dad merch.
Metal Dad merch.
Oh, sorry.
So wait, is that not the same?
But no, just it's the
Metal Dad
merch is Metal Dad merch.
But is it connected to Metal Dad Collective?
That's like
dude, this is fucking pretty funny. So he has a bunch of them though. Let's just
let's share screen. I want to see some.
Yeah, we'll see it. I almost
really
stop
cute,
cam.
Dude. It's pretty fucking hilarious.
I know.
Yeah,
let's see it.
This is pretty rad, dude. That one with the background is so funny, dude.
Let's see. So okay, he's got Okay, at least I remember I saw Nip Destroyer right here. So Pig Destroyer. This is the one I was talking about,
dude. Oh my god,
the obvious boredom. The kids
oh
all
my
bored.
god, dude, this fucking rules, bro.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nip Destroyer is the best. You gotta
awesome.
Thriving fetus.
Thriving fetus, dude. Yes, dude.
Dude. This is
oh
really
my
good.
god.
I know he randomly just like I just saw it like on some scrolling through
Wait,
thing. I was like,
so
holy shit.
am I right?
Cottage
Derek?
cheese. Oh my god.
Great.
Holy shit.
Oh,
Definitely. That's rad, dude. Yeah. So
I think it's Derek. I'm sorry if I'm getting the name wrong, but I think it's Derek McCubbin,
he's cool, man.
Hey,
I went with him
I've
to
talked
see
to him.
he's a listener of the show too, dude.
I went to he picked me up and we went to the Zenith Passage show in San Diego with
so you're like physical homies with this guy.
You're physical.
I am physically a homie with
I'm
him.
only virtual homies, dude.
Yes.
Well, dude, shout out Derek for fucking that shit's super funny, dude. Nip Destroyer destroyed me, bro.
Well, the Spawn of Possession one, there's a Spawn of Possession one that he made that wasn't on there. But yeah, what did it say? It's
Spawn of Conception.
Spawn of Conception. That's adorable. Come on, for your child.
So it's perfect.
Go support him. Go support him.
That is adorable. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. There you go.
I'll look that up.
So back to you now that you're back, Kelly, dude.
Yeah.
So
we're in pessimist time. So
yeah,
what's
signed to a label, doing bigger things, doing fests, touring the East Coast up and down.
Yeah.
When's the first record drop?
So the first record dropped in I think it was the spring of 1997.
Okay.
So
great record, dude.
Oh yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, Colton Initiated. Thank you very much. Yeah. That got us a lot of attention, man. But like I said, we kind of went from just being a demo band to being very widely recognized. All of a sudden, our stuff was distributed everywhere, and we were getting a lot of press and a lot of attention, playing more and more shows, and getting bigger shows. Opening for Deicide, Napalm Death, playing shows with any band you could think of.
Fuck yeah.
And, and then it was time for record number 2, basically. Mm-hmm. So we started writing our second album, and Blood for the Gods. And when that dropped in 1999, then we did our first European tour. And of course, the whole time here in the US, we're playing more and more bigger festivals, Jack Koshik festivals from back in the day, Milwaukee Metal Fest, New Jersey Metal Fest, this other one called New England Hardcore Metal Fest. That was long running up in Massachusetts for a while. Now we're branching out more and more into states. We start playing up in New York. Just more and more, more, bigger, better, faster.
Who was the Europe run with?
We did the Europe run with a band over there called Godless Truth.
Oh hell yeah, dude!
Oh, yeah.
Just to bring it back to my. I'm not trying to bring it back to myself.
This is Anthony's like.
I'm not trying to bring it back to myself, but that band Carnivorous that I was talking about, we did a split. My first official release was a split with Godless Truth and Violent Remnants from Japan.
Remnants,
a 3-way split that we did on because Zdenek, I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah, that's his name.
His label, Lacerated Enemy Records, was the first thing that I ever did where I was working with a record label. And so, yeah, dude, I know about Godless Truth. That band rules. It was part of my early upbringings in the underground shit. So, yeah, dude, that's cool.
Cool, dude.
So, it's Testament, Godless Truth, and just you two?
And Fleshless, who's also a Czech band.
Yeah.
Fleshless. But back then, they just had a drum machine. It was like the singer and a guitarist and like a drum machine kind of thing on stage. So, they weren't like a real kind of band yet or whatever, but it was still cool, So, and that's where we played around Czech Republic, Germany, a few other places, like I think Netherlands. It wasn't a real big tour. It was just totally do-it-yourself kind of tour. I mean, none of us even spoke any other languages. So, they just took really good care of us. It was like that.
How was food? How was the food situation when you were out there?
Food was amazing. We loved the fact that like the bars never closed, like 24/7. You know, just partying. One of the most memorable moments from that first tour was we had like a couple days off, and we elected to spend these couple days at this farmhouse out in the Czech Republic countryside. It was like a friend of the band's, and they go, "Hey, we can all stay there." And it was kind of like you were talking about earlier, man. I mean, like literally no running water, no electric. There was no outhouse at all. You just had to go outside to, you know, Mr. Shit or whatever. There was a shower outside, but you had to like stand and hold the thing, like pull down this chain, and this cold water would come down on you. And
it's like some hammered guy would just piss on you.
Literally, like no toilet paper in the house. There was no to eat. We had to like start a fire in the stove to like warm up this bread the leftover bread. So it was like bread and beer. And that was that.
Dude, what did you guys wipe your ass with then, dude?
Fuck, I don't even remember.
Just the scoop, the
eating up the shit. I don't.
Three longest fingers that would fit, dude.
Pretty much leaves or whatever there was. I literally do not remember. Yeah, there was no heat in the house. It was freezing.
Jesus.
So, but good old days, man. You know, we were roughing it out. That was in 1999, so over 20 years ago. And back then, Czech Republic had just become a like a free country or something like that. Like I guess before that, there was no rock or metal even allowed in that country till like I don't know 94 or 96. So we're touring there just a few years later in 99. And people were going bananas. We're over there playing death metal stuff, and people were blown away, dude. It was nuts. They'd never seen anything like it. You know what I mean? So,
and to have a band like Godless Truth pop up not too soon after.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like there was definitely secrets going on. One and two. As soon as you know the floodgates are opened. Let's fucking do this, dude.
Bro, well, that's why they were playing the most raunchiest shit, man. Like that's where all the gore grind bands come from, and all the scat, you know, stuff like that. With the album covers with people just covered in shit, and and they went.
There's other stuff from there, like Alienation Mentalism, like that. That's one band that I'll always rep from the Czech Republic. That band's fucking insane, dude. And they don't really. Go for the gore shit, but yeah, I know what you're saying. Like Pigsty, that's one of the
Squash Valve was big.
Yeah,
back then. Yeah, those guys like Total Blast.
Open up the floodgates and shit gets weird, dude. Like you repressed for that long,
right?
And then you finally just take off all of that repression. Like shit's gonna get weird quick, you know. But hey, it's all expression, dude. It's expression. It's rebellion. Like the words that we've been saying throughout this whole entire podcast: rebellion, expression, all that stuff. That you, as soon as you have an opening to do that, humanity is gonna. A certain part of humanity is gonna take advantage of it right at that moment. You know,
well, it really was,
full throttle.
Absolutely, and that's back then is when we met Kirby from Obscene, and he was doing Obscene Extreme Festival, which is nowadays is huge. Back then, it was the first or second edition. You know, no one had ever heard of it. You know, there's barely any like emails or ways to keep in touch with these people back then. It was bizarre. Write a letter, or I don't remember. We would set up a phone call once a month or something like that to organize the tour. The times were very different back then.
You're right.
Yeah,
but you guys still made it work, dude. That's the thing. Death metal's gonna always find a way, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Just like light finds a way in Jurassic Park, dude.
we think about like, okay, so we toured in like the 2000s, and we didn't have smartphones, you know, but we had cell phones, you know. But like when I was in junior high, we had pagers and stuff. So it's like, you guys were touring back when it was like we didn't have any of that.
Bro, because we were roughing it, man. There wasn't even like euros yet in Europe. Czech Republic was still on their own money. It was totally different.
Actually,
like
I have a question.
Okay.
Sorry to cut you off, but like as far as, because I mean, our first tours, what Casey's kind of alluding to is that like we didn't have a smartphone, we didn't have a way to GPS anything. Like our first hardship on tour, like of touring, was getting a MapQuest like book for our doing, and that was not, you couldn't go on the internet and type in like, we would like to go from St. Louis, Missouri to blah blah blah, like, you know, it would just be like a map, right? Was that how you?
Yeah,
you guys
even on bloodletting. Well, yeah.
I mean, fuck bloodletting. Back in the day, like, there was nothing. Like, did you guys literally just take a map with you and just get there?
So fortunately for us, like as I mentioned, we were with the guys Fleshless and Godless Truth, so they already knew. They already had the maps. They already had all the club contacts. They did all the speaking for us, and they would loosely translate it to us. You know. Yeah, you guys come with us.
In America though, you're like your first American tours. There was no GPS. Like, how did you navigate?
We were doing MapQuest and stuff like that.
Okay.
Pessimist had AAA and would like print out the maps for us and everything. So
shout out Pessimist, dude. I'm gonna keep saying it. She's fucking
Pessimist. What's her first name?
Just handles it. Yeah.
What's her first name?
What was her first name? Was Joey. Miss Joey, we called her.
Shout out Miss Joey.
Joey, dude.
Joey.
Saint.
Good.
Yeah. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, the MapQuest we got the file folder every single night. Here's the MapQuest.
That's right. It's like a binder of what's happening next.
That's pretty cool, guys. Was that here in the US for you too, or over there?
Yeah, it was US Canada, 2006.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Canada too.
And then the Garmins came out. The Garmin started to come out, and that was like the next level game changer. Was like a Garmin. Like having that big old thing. Exactly.
Yeah, I remember one time I was like sick, dude, and I was like driving, and I like was following the it was like this big giant Garmin, like it's like an old tube TV thing.
Yeah.
It was like and I was like trying to follow it, like, and then I like drove, like I was like in the middle of the country, and I drove like an hour and a half like the wrong way. But it was telling me to go that way. Then all of a sudden it just like was like rerouting. It's like go back, like, and everyone else was like passed out or like woke up and they're like Matt was like, what the fuck, dude? Like, I mean, I was like, I don't know. Like, it told me to go this way. Like,
I'm gonna keep throwing this out every time it happens. But if I think nowadays phones have gotten smarter because they're smartphones. Yeah. But like if you're in Michigan and you're having to route to the East Coast, it'll route you through Canada. So and that's happened. That's busted a lot of bands. A lot of bands have been busted. Yeah, a lot of bands have been busted and like for like having, you know, stuff they shouldn't have on them.
GPS should know better than that, dude.
I know. I think maybe it does now, but like back then, there was a band that we were really close with that went through. It's like, oh yeah, just go through fucking Canada, then you get to New York easier.
Now that weed's legal, most places, Siri should be like, do you have any marijuana?
It's like a schedule.
Yes or no. Okay, yes, we're gonna stay in the States. No,
just like what scheduled narcotics do you have on you? Like just like tap a button. It's like these are the worst places for them. But yeah, that was. And I remember actually after the only reason why we had this about to do the same fucking thing after the band that I'm talking about, like, was it just got busted and like had their butthole searched, like. We were about to do the same thing, and I had to stop. I was like, dude, we're going like way too north right now. We're supposed to be going east. And I looked at the route, and it was like we had weed on us and stuff at the time. This is like 2009 or 10. And I'm like, I feel like this is not the right way. And I looked at it. It was like, oh, just go through Canada real quick and go through the border checkpoint and then come back down on another border checkpoint. And like, it's like, you know, so that was kind of a scary thing for bands. And you learn these things.
Which, by the way, the GPS, you're supposed to work in all the traffic and all that, car accidents and all that shit. Like, wouldn't it work in going nowadays the border check? And that, even if you don't have anything, it's going to cost you an hour to go through customs and all that shit, right? And then back through it again.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, nowadays they have like traffic reports.
Fuck
and
you,
shit.
Siri.
Yeah,
I'm going back to MapQuest, dude.
I wonder if MapQuest is even still there.
Yeah, exactly. Have you guys seen the like new South Park shit? It's really funny.
No, dude. No. I'm still asking Jeeves, dude.
Yeah,
No. So yeah, so we're going. So getting the Pessimist stuff. So actually, I mean, not to jump too far ahead, but like, it's pretty far ahead probably. But so next would be Possessed for you, right? That would be joining Possessed.
Not next. I mean, we'll have to cover some. I mean, I don't know how late you guys want to go.
Yeah, you were getting
we're down.
We'll as late
we're
as you
here
want,
for
man.
as long as you want.
We're having a
Okay,
great time.
I mean, I got a story to tell. I mean,
okay, tell a story. Please go back to.
So I did Pessimist, and then up till about 2003. Okay, so we do our 3 records, and we're going through some lineup changes. But the whole time,
all Lost Disciple.
Still on Lost Disciple for the first 3 records. We did Call to the Initiated, we did Blood for the Gods, and then our 3rd record, Slaughtering the Faithful, which we did with Eric Rutan in Tampa, Florida, in the fledgling studio, which later became Mana Recording Studios. Derek Roddy engineered our drums. We recorded the drums with Derek Roddy. We're friends with all those dudes for well over 20 years.
We love Derek.
So everybody loves Derek, man. He's amazing and cool guy and a fantastic drummer. And anyway, around about that time, Pessimist was going through some lineup changes, and it had kind of run its course. And I got in touch with some old friends, which was my old drummer from a band I had kind of filled in with called Horror of Horrors in Maryland. So we'll see if that rings any bells, but if not, go look it up.
Does sound familiar for me.
Horror of Horrors. Yeah, go look that up. And the drummer was my friend Antar. He had moved to Florida and had started this band Diabolic. Now we had done.
Oh yeah.
He had a demo. The first Diabolic demo he had recorded in Maryland, and I actually played solos on that. Like just walked in and he goes, play some solos, and I tracked over this stuff. And that was the unreleased demo. It was never released. Moved to Florida and the band Diabolic formed. Well, I got in touch with him around 2003. He says, come down. And they were going over some battles for the name Diabolic. And we decided to start our own new band called Unholy Ghost.
Oh, yeah.
And which was a name he had. And it was me and Antar then. And then we brought in 2 of the other dudes from Diabolic, Jerry and Paul. And they had a recording contract, which they had just got with Olympic Records, which was a subsidiary under Century Media.
Yeah.
And we all took that contract and Century Media. So we signed that contract and said, this is the band, but it has a new name now, Unholy Ghost. And we put that out in 2004, Torrential Rain from Unholy Ghost. And now all of a sudden we're on a big label and Pessimist is kind of on hold. I moved to Florida and we started same thing, playing festivals, doing interviews, doing, shit was just blowing up. It was taking off like crazy. Unfortunately, that was short-lived, only a couple of years. And that band kind of split up. And then I just went through a few years, guys, of, at this point, I've got a career. I do audiovisual work. I graduated electronics school, so I had a few jobs. I'm like buying houses, having regular life, having a job, just doing the band on the weekends. And I end up playing in and out of like a bunch of different bands. Unholy Ghost, Diabolic would crop up from time to time. I played in Equinox from Orlando, and I started gigging. I played, did some live shows with Angel Corpse. This is around 2008. And then 2009, I'm back in Diabolic full time. We've recorded an album called Excisions of Exorcisms, which is a fucking burner in 2010. And then that had run its course. And then all of a sudden, it's 2011, and I get a shot to audition for Possessed.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I remember, dude, my hair's standing up everywhere. I remember seeing it on Facebook.
Dude, it throws you right back to that young kid, dude.
Everything I grew up on, I was like, I was made for it. As soon as I saw it, I go, that's me. As soon as I saw the ad, I have to call them. And I wrote to them. I wrote to Jeff, and he wrote back. We set up some interviews. We set up some tryouts. And in February of 2011, I flew to LA and somehow got the gig in Possessed.
Fuck, dude.
So I really didn't have to beat out that many people. It was pretty easy for someone like me who knows these songs inside and out since I was 15 years old. I already knew all the songs by heart. It was just a matter of learning to play them correctly. And yeah, I got the spot. And I mean, literally a month later, we're playing Hellfest in France, with Kiss and Black Sabbath and like, holy shit, bro.
Well, I just remember getting 7 churches even from as a young kid. And you're like,
right.
Wow, dude, this is Bay Area. This is the beginning of what was called, and I shouldn't say the beginning of what was called death metal, but they're the first band to coin the term, and to be a part of something that is cherished by so many now. Currently, you're saying 2011, so at that time. They're still going as a unit, and now you're a part of it when you used to be a fan of it. It's just so much weird and cool energy that's going on in that, because you're obviously like, is this reality? Is this a dream type deal? You get this feeling in your head where now you're kind of taken out of reality in a sense, because you don't know what is real and what isn't for a moment if you really sit back and think about it. Oh, now I'm the guitar player of Possessed.
I don't know. It was very real. The feeling itself was surreal. I mean, I remember the day we did tryouts, and it was very low key of like who they're going to choose. And all of a sudden one day there's a photographer there and they go, "Hey guys, we're doing band photos and you're in it."
That was your thing. They're like, "Oh, dude, you're in it. We're taking pictures now."
Speechless. I'm standing there like, okay, my hair is standing up, my eyes are big, and I'm like, wow, this is it. Really cool moments, and I'll treasure it forever, for the rest of my life.
Dude. You should definitely, because that is a treasure for you, no doubt.
Thank you very much,
dude. And so, how long did you go with them?
About 3 years. So towards the end of 2013, we managed to go to Europe, I think 3 times.
Nice, dude.
Hellfest, Grass Pop, 1 or 2 European tours. So 3 or 4 trips to Europe together.
Nice, dude. Yeah.
And it was, the whole thing was just off the charts, man. It was a growing experience. I mean, you have to keep in mind at that time, Possessed was still... was making a comeback, didn't have any new music for many, many years. So in some kind of ways was more underground than they are right now, because now once they're on New Class and have a new record out, it's, there's this machine going. Before that, we were really roughing it. We were playing small clubs, kind of not starving. I mean, we were still treated very well, but you understand, it wasn't, we were working hard, man, playing these clubs. Doing a lot of the promotion ourselves, selling all the merch ourselves, loading in ourselves. We didn't have roadies. It was not easy. So, that's it. I wanted to make that a point that we worked fucking hard, Dude,
so, I mean, that really is, it's still death metal,
Absolutely.
Even down to the point of loading in your gear and, setting up your shit and breaking it down. These are all the things that make us appreciate the art that we do more,
Exactly.
If Odious Mortem went out on tour and just had everybody do the shit for them, I don't know what I would feel about that. I want to make sure that, Casey, is this cymbal twist? Did I tighten this enough for you, dude? Or do you you need me to loosen it? Because that's really all I am. I bring up a microphone, so I'm like helping Casey put on his cymbals or whatever.
I require at least 3 personal drum techs to go on tour, and I prefer to be like lifted in a chair to the drum set. Like, I don't want to walk.
That would be so funny, dude. I just watched you in my head, I just watched you get picked up out of a 15-passenger van and carried into like the showcase or the brick by brick. You didn't even your feet didn't even touch the ground, dude.
That's awesome.
No, your feet only. You're like, my feet only touch the pedals and the carpet. I put below of my.
I don't want to expend any energy except for behind the drums, just carry me.
And then we just turn on the fan and your hair flows again. Oh wait, you don't have the long hair anymore.
I'm trying to grow it again. We'll see what happens. I don't know.
Hey, Sick Drummers asked what possessed drummer we played with. Yes, it was Emilio. Was in the band the whole thing. I was in the band. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah.
With your koozie, your beer koozie, I have a little bit
Diamond, bro.
I have a little bit of bragging to do right now.
Yeah.
A little bit of bragging right now.
Yeah, please.
This is me and King Diamond hanging out in Vegas a few weeks ago.
Oh wow, you saw him in Vegas, huh?
Yeah. It was the
Psycho Fest, yeah.
Like it was our first it was Merciful Fate's first show on US soil in 24 years.
Amazing.
But, I randomly just ran into him and we just struck up the conversation. He was fucking nice as fuck and just talked to me and was engaging and was didn't want me to go. He was I was not trying to bother him. That's all right. I'm not trying to bother you, dude. Just let me can I get a picture real quick? He's like, where'd you come from? What's going on? Blah, blah. It's very cool, man.
He dug in on you a little bit. That's awesome.
Yeah, he was because he's a sweetheart. He's the absolute sweetheart of metal.
And then you walked away and you're like, dude, this guy is.
Yeah.
I was. Isn't that the fucking best? Oh, dude, that's just the fucking best, man. When you meet your heroes.
Oh yeah.
And they're cool as.
Yeah. You see them and they just he destroyed that festival. Psycho Fest was amazing. There's all these huge bands playing and it was great and stuff. But when Merciful Fate came on, the sound was by far the sickest sound. The stage show was the most fun. Everyone was fucking 90% of the crowd was wearing Merciful Fate shirts. It was they were there to see that experience, and it was the crowd was the loudest and it was just huge. It was just almost life altering. I'm to be honest with you, wasn't the biggest King Diamond fan. I loved Merciful Fate and stuff, but King Diamond, for whatever reason, I wasn't never hooked me where I was listening to it on my own kind of thing. But after that show, I'm he's coming back on tour. I'm I have to see that now. I have to go. I'm hooked now. I need to be there.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. Those musicians he had with him were fucking insane. They were the guitar solos and stuff, and the bass player that was a newer bass player, but the two guitar players, they were just shredding. It was so good. Yeah. I don't think it was Andy LaRock for this one. It was I saw Andy. Yeah. It was Andy LaRock for King Diamond. Yeah. Okay. They were almost to the point of Eddie Van Halen style, just precision, just they just felt they had that kind of 80s style shred down, and I was God damn, these guys are fucking. This guy's won the fest. Out of the 160 bands, Merciful Fate just came in and just won.
Sick.
Not even close.
It's awesome.
Yeah. And his stage show coming out with
you're making me want to go see Merciful Fate right now.
Oh, you have to see him. I mean, if you want to see an amazing show,
you sold me, dude. I'm ready. I'm seeing, like I said, I'm seeing Maiden on Sunday, but I will work out.
Just him coming out for the first time, the crowd for that was deafening. You couldn't even hear the music. And even after they were done, I remember King was talking about, he was being interviewed right after. He's this is a fucking Brazilian festival. This is South America here at Vegas. He's all, you guys were super fucking loud. I couldn't even hear what was going on. And he's all, it's fucking, because everyone's flipping their shit. 80% of the people went there just to see Merciful Fate reunite in America. It was a huge deal. But yeah, sorry to I had to take a piss. But where were you guys at?
Hey, you know what? I was going to ask what's some of the coolest musicians you guys have met, because I've met a handful of my heroes in my life, and some of them been absolutely fantastic, amazing, and some not so much. So I was wondering what.
Oh man,
any folks, any guys have met.
I mean, Suffocation and stuff. We toured with Suffocation multiple times, and we listen to them as kids, and we are bros with them. It's our friends now. It's a trip to be. The cool thing about death metal is how it's not super popular and huge. So you go on tour with these bands that you've always looked up to, and all of a sudden they're your friends. You guys are now your friends. So Suffocation was a big one for me. Black Dahlia murder, like, you know, obviously that whole, you know, like I was super close with them, and a bunch of bands. There's been actually, to be honest with you, it's been more rare that bands have been like underwhelming as people than like it's a rare thing. Usually they're I mean, but there's people like I always talk about the story with Matt Sotelo from Decrepit, like the main lead from Decrepit. Yeah, he was talking about like when he was a kid, 16 years old, like he was a big Yngwie Malmsteen fan. Like that was like what he, you know, Rising Force came out and all these things came out, and he was just like, what the fuck? This is like next level. And then he went to go meet him, and Yngwie was like, fuck you, I'm not signing autographs.
That sucks,
like,
dude.
But at the same time, though, for Yngwie Malmsteen, though, I consider that an autograph because I kind of want him to be a dick.
I know what Joel's going to say.
I don't know why I want him to be a dick. It's like he gets away with it. Where I'm like, Yngwie Malmsteen, like if he like yells at you and like, oh, that's sick. Like, Yngwie Malmsteen just yelled at me. But yeah, but for you, what was the ones that like really blew your mind as far as how nice?
Bro, for me, hands down, the coolest cat of my heroes that I ever met was Lemmy from Motorhead.
Oh, me too. Yeah, I've met Lemmy multiple times. Awesome,
bro.
Such a sweetheart.
He was the most coolest guy, the most down to earth. He spent more time asking me about my band. Oh, what is that you do? Oh, you play in a band? I go, yeah. Oh, what is that called? Pessimist. Oh, Pessimist. Yeah, what's that about? So it's the dark side, this and that. And we became friends in that way. Like he totally supported me. Like you know, by the time we ended the conversation, well, I'll see you out there on the road, mate, and that kind of thing. We became friends, bro.
That's awesome.
And Lemmy's just absolutely the coolest. And another one was Phil Anselmo was the coolest badass. When I met that guy, he's the fucking best. And we met at Hellfest when I was playing with Possessed, like I was just telling you guys. And it was like, that's Phil Anselmo, dude. He's going, what? You playing fucking Possessed? I fucking love Possessed. Oh, you in the front row banging my head for you guys, man. Fuck yeah. And he was just the best, man. So supportive. And you know, to me, that goes a long ways, man. I will always remember stuff like that sticks with me, and I'll always do my best to reciprocate that in a way. You know what I mean? Like support.
That means a lot to people. Like people like a lot. Like the music's important and stuff, but like when a lot in the metal community, like this guy's an asshole. This guy's cool. That's like that goes a long way. Like if like people, if it gets out that you're a piece of shit asshole to people, your fans and stuff, then it'll find its way to people. People will be like, fuck that guy, just for no reason. Never have met that guy. People will be like, that guy's an asshole. I don't, you know. And then Phil Anselmo with me too. I mean, the Illegals, we had the Illegals on, you know, in the beginning of this podcast and stuff. And Mike's one of my good friends, and so is Derek and stuff. And Mike took me on the bus. He's like, you want to go talk to Phil? And I was like, sure, let's go talk to Phil. I was like, and they were like, do you want to go smoke a bowl first? And I was like, I wasn't smoking weed at the time. And I'm like, sure, I'll just do all the stuff you guys are doing and then go talk to Phil. And I got like super high, and Phil like was sitting there laying back watching like a horror movie on a iPad. And Mike comes up, he's like, dude, this is one of my good friends, Joel, blah blah. And Phil just popped right up, put his arm around me, and we just talked about football for 45 minutes. We talked about the Saints and Chiefs. And he took my number down. He's all, dude, if the Saints and Chiefs make it to the Super Bowl, which, by the way, it was like one play in each of the championship games that could have happened. He's all, I'm going to fucking call you. We're going to fucking talk, blah, blah, all this shit. And I was like, get the fuck out of here. This is like a weird, like a dream I'm having right now. You know, it's like this going like, you fuck yeah, motherfucker. I'll tell you what. You know, it was in my ear. I'm just like, what the fuck is going on right now? I know. I was losing my mind. But, yeah, he was a fucking absolute sweetheart to me. I was like,
well, just humans, dude. And a lot of us make art that other humans like, you know, and that's really what it comes down to. And I would be that guy in that moment too. Like, holy shit, I'm fucking bullshitting with Phil Anselmo. But in reality, it's we're just making art. And then if you make some art that a lot of people dig, then that's what happens. You become a Phil Anselmo. Dimebag Daryl, like if we're going to talk about Pantera in general, like it's Dimebag's riffs that really made me fully connect with Pantera, you know, and just that those moments, it just shows you that we're all the same type of thing on this planet. How we're able to express ourselves, you may hit the lottery because the timing was right, you were ready to express yourself fully, and boom, now we have a vulgar display of power, and now there's millions of people that connect with the piece of art that you made.
Well, the one thing with Phil though that was,
but he's watching. But what I was trying to say is that
yeah,
you get to that point where he's just sitting there watching a horror movie, and all he wants to do is talk about football. That's a fucking just a real human, dude. It's just,
yeah,
he's not like the gigantic thing that we all put him up to be. He's no different than you, I, or Kelly, or Casey, or anybody else watching this right now. We're all just this blip of existence, and we're trying to express ourselves in a way through somewhat of an ego to get our expressions out into the world, and their expressions went further than ours, you know. And now it got back to you, and he's showing you like, we don't need to talk about Pantera, we need to talk about how the Chiefs suck this year, dude.
We almost went to the Super Bowl with them. Anyways, different division, homie. Let's not go. No, but
digging on your taint right there, dude.
The one thing with Phil though, and not to get too deep on that, but he was just kind of canceled and for being this big piece of shit, and
he said some fucked up shit.
He said some dumb shit, but the thing is, he was like getting wasted as fuck and just thinking things were funny that weren't funny. And then when I met him, he was just a stoner. He was just smoking a little weed. He was sober, and his voice was fucking correct. Because when I showed up to that show, Mike was all, dude, we're playing like Secret. We're playing all Pantera songs tonight. And I was like, what? It was like the beginning of an Illegals tour. It's like, it's not, there's like one illegal song we're playing. It's all Pantera songs. I was like, what the fuck? In this small little bar. And I was like, dude, wow. I was like, just like freaking out, like couldn't believe it. And he came out there and he was sober, just a little like weed, and like, cause he was getting like fucked up, back then, like to the point where he was just like fucking wasted, going fuck everyone, like saying shit on stage. It was like, whoa, brother, like chill out a little bit. But then like he was just smoked a little weed and was fucking nailing the fucking vocals for Pantera. I was like, okay, he still got it. Like I thought he didn't have it anymore because he'd just be like, the videos I saw was him just like, just like saying shit, and I was like, whoa, okay, well, it's kind of like a shell of himself kind of person. But he got sober, got that shit cleaned up, and then I met him right in the middle of that, and he was like, wouldn't let me go. He was like, let's fucking talk. I was like, just
talk football, dude.
Yeah, I walked out of there just like my pupils were just humongous. Like, what the fuck just happened?
Like, I couldn't believe you're literally like high on Anselmo, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
What'd you just do, dude? Molly, Coke? Nah, dude, I had some Anselmo.
I had a bunch of friends waiting outside the bus when I came out, and they're like, "Fuck you," and I was all pissed off. They're like, "What the fuck?" Yeah, but yeah. Anyways, cool not story, to get too deep on that stuff. But
not to get too deep, we just did like 10 minutes on that, dude.
That's a great cat, man. One of the best, dude. And Lemmy too, outstanding. Outstanding. Yeah. I still would love to meet Ozzy. Ozzy had a signing here in Long Beach last weekend, and I was going to try to get to that. It sold out like the day before. I was like, fuck.
Right.
I mean, that would have been like seeing the Wizard of Oz, man. That would have been like going to the fucking.
I mean, not to open another can of worms, but I mean, I've been seeing recently that he's moving back to England, and I'm like, oh, dude.
Yeah.
He's played 2 shows though. I thought it was because of his health condition, but he just played a halftime show at the Rams Stadium, the SoFi, the $6 billion stadium that was like sold out. He like,
I know, but that's the way that like social media works. Like I see enough of that, and then I'm like, is he going home to die right now? Because that's what social media was doing. I need to get away from the social media because it twisted my brain to think, is Ozzy going home to die? Because they post a pic. You, Joel, you actually were the one. Yeah, it was through you.
Because I saw some quote about like how he's got some like onset of Parkinson's, and he's like kind of Sharon was talking about, like we need him to be in a place where he loves, and so that's where he needs to, like, end of life stuff is kind of like the quote I saw, and I was like,
Sharon,
oh shit.
Sharon posted that.
Yeah, and it was like him with like a cane, and he looked like super fragile, and I was like, oh shit. But then in the last like month, I've seen him played one in the UK that was like this like fucking Olympic style stadium with like 60,000 people, and he like crushed it. Like he sounded fine. He wasn't like moving around like fucking like Keith Richards or whatever the fuck his name is. Not Keith Richards, but Mick Jagger. But he was like sitting there just going, like he was still handling it. His voice sounded fine, and I was like, well, and he said that
he's not done.
In the interview, he said, because the interview he just did 2 weeks ago, he was like, I'm gonna keep doing this until I fucking die. I'm not. There's not gonna be like an end. There's not gonna be like a retirement. There'll be no retirement. Like I'm gonna do this until I'm done.
If we admit it, like if he were to actually throw in the towel, it would be like one of those situations where your significant other died and you died a week later. Just your energy is taken away from this one thing that you've done for so long.
Yeah.
Like what else is Ozzy stand? Well, obviously for his family. I'm just saying, you know,
why is it?
It's like one of those things, like you take away this gigantic part of your life. Like, okay, I'm going to retire from that. How do you, I don't know. I'm just put on the Anthony drunk alert. Come on.
We can't do it now. But
I mean, where Ozzy goes, I'm gonna have to take a week off of whatever I'm doing at the time. It's just, I mean, it's gonna.
That's hard, dude.
It's
tough. I mean, it was bad when Ronnie James Dio passed away. I mean, I swear.
Totally, dude.
Dimebag for me, I was destroyed.
All of those hurt me. It physically, you feel it those days when you find those. Oh, you wake up and Dimebag's gone. You wake up, Dio's gone.
Even like, Chris Cornell, like I was really
that one. You
Cornell.
Feel it. It's
that was
like what he was singing about and shit. I'm like, oh fuck, that was for reals.
like
fell on Black Days and shit. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Shout out sick drummer Sean Reiner was one of the biggest for me, dude.
Yeah.
And then have Malone in the same year. Oh, dude. These things are unfortunately what we're always going to come across in our lives, guys. And you just got to be glad that you lived at a time to experience these artists in their prime before that happened, you know. And but yeah, dude, that 'tis life, guys. Just rock it out, rock it till the wheels fall off. That's the classic saying. Rock it, and that's what we're gonna do. I pledge to rock it till the wheels fall off with you guys.
Black out with your rack out.
Black out with your rack out, dude. Black out with your cack out, dude. All of it, dude. Straight up, dude. Like that's what we're supposed to do. If you,
all right, let's I love your message, by the way. We
haven't wrapped it up on Kelly though.
That's
okay. Sick drummer. My birthday's on the 12th September.
September 12th.
Thank you. Happy
birthday, man.
Thank you, man. It was last week, 10 days ago already.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Oh yeah, dude.
Happy 38th, dude.
Oh, he's a 7-2. Yeah, Virgos rule, bro. Okay.
I'm a Scorpio. I'm not too far away from you.
Okay, awesome. So
I'm a sign too. No, but
I almost spit that out on my keyboard, dude.
But no, I mean, yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to ask. I saw Diabolic play in like 2000 or 2001.
Yeah.
Dimmu Borgir.
Were you in the band at that time?
That's before I joined the band. They were doing some really big tours back then. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
they were doing some very big tours, man. They played in Europe with Behemoth and Destroyer 666, like a whole fucking tour, month-long string of shows, Cradle of Filth, and huge bands. And then, which is part of what led me on to kind of sign on with that band. But unfortunately, like nothing really ever came to fruition afterwards, and that, just kind of faded.
Sure.
Who else was in Diabolic? I feel like there was other band members from other bands in that were pretty. Am I wrong about that? Was there like another?
I just remember geeking out on the drummer when they were the opening band. It was Diabolic, Christian, Cryptopsy, Dimmu. I said Dimmu Borgir. I don't know if you call it Dimmu Borgir. I don't fucking care. Demon Burger. Come on, guys.
Yeah, that was the. Was that the Headbangers Ball tour or something like that? Christmas tour?
I don't know. Something like that, dude. But it was just a night of drummers. That's what it really was. It was a night of drummers. Diabolic, Christian, and Cryptopsy and Dimmu, which with Nick Barker. So it was just this night. Don't try and straight face it when it comes to you, dude. You're laughing at me the whole time, dude. But let's stop the crazy.
Okay, just keep talking. Just don't worry about the visuals. It's fine.
But I can't not worry about it when you guys fucking switch every 3 seconds.
Dude, what are you?
All right, Anthony. Diabolic, Christian, Cryptopsy and Dimmu, and they were all just phenomenal drummers. That was my main thing. Was phenomenal drummers that whole night. I think it was secretly just for the drummers, dude.
Yeah, Antar was one
of
my favorite
drummers. Now.
Got you. Yeah, Antar was one of my favorite drummers to play with in Unholy Ghost and in Diabolic. You know, he has a real cool style that's very similar to, or kind of wants to play like, similar to Pete, of course. You know, so it's the Floridian death metal. It's the inverted skank beat with the the kick on one and the snare on the upbeat. Skank, blast, everything doubles. And I mean, playing in that band was a lot of fun, dude. I loved playing in Diabolic. I loved playing in Unholy Ghost. You know, those years were a lot of fun. Yeah.
So then we didn't get back to the resurrection of Pessimist yet, though. So you said it was all this before Pessimist became resurrected and a new thing. Yeah, right. So and we're about there. So I mentioned Possessed, and I came off of Possessed, and right about that time is when I resurrected Pessimist. So in 2014, Pessimist played our first show back, which was Las Vegas Death Fest, it was called. And which I'd already played with Diabolic a couple of years. And then we started playing a couple other shows and writing some songs and stuff. And then trying to think what happened in between there, 2014, 2018. In 2018, we did a string of shows with Pessimist. We played Maryland Death Fest, Las Vegas Death Fest again, some other a festival up in New York City called, what is the fest up there? And some other shows, East Coast shows. And we started writing a single, Keys to the Underworld, which we put out. I recorded it myself. I got Kevin Talley on drums. I wrote all the drum parts, sent him a click track. He mailed me the drums, wrote the riffs, put that out as a single, Keys to the Underworld in 2018. And then also in 2018, I ended up, it's kind of silly, but I ended up playing bass for a band called Hyrax. You know Hyrax?
Oh, that's San Francisco.
Here in LA. Not that they're silly. It was just kind of a situation there. You know, it's two brothers, and the one bass player couldn't play these shows. So I filled in with them. We did South America, a couple of shows there in Colombia and Mexico City. And then that was very short-lived, though, because the bass player came back. So, and then, like, literally, you know, the next day, the phone rings, and it's David Vincent going, hey, man, we need a guitar player for I Am Morbid.
Yeah.
So everything instantly, the world changed.
And again, like you had.
I was just thrown back to altars again, dude.
Yeah, again, bro. Because look what I've been. Yeah, look at this journey I've been on this whole time, and to get a call from someone like David Vincent and go, "Hey, man, we need a guitar player, and it's you. Can you do this in 2 weeks? We're going to Europe." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm all in." At that point, so what did somebody say there? They missed Pessimist at the reunion show at Las Vegas Death Fest. Yeah, That's okay. We'll be back. Tell them that.
Hell yeah.
I think you're telling them right now.
You're telling them right now.
We're coming back, dude.
Yeah, we'll be back.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, that was in 2019. So, I mean, all the thing is, man, I always fucking worked hard, and I always had this dream, and I just never fucking gave up. Right. And, you know, once I got Pessimist back on the ground, that's my only, I don't have many regrets, but I really wish I kept Pessimist going more strong the whole time, instead of, it was kind of diluted by joining lots of other bands and being, you know, distracted and focused on other things.
Well, you were the ringleader of the whole situation, right?
Yeah.
Pessimist.
Yes. I mean, everything happens for a reason, you know?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's hard for a ringleader to be a part of something and also ringlead another thing. And
so true.
And you're finding an opportunity to continue being a touring musician, being a part of these things, whether it be a new thing or something that's taking you back to your essence. You know, it's a natural progression through life like that, dude, where you're just gonna gravitate towards certain things, and you may, you know, things may dissolve for a little bit, but the fact that Pessimist was there from the beginning before all that, like, you always knew you always knew you were gonna bring it back.
Yeah.
You know, it was always there in the back. I could tell by the way that that you know, the thought that you put into a lot of different things, where we're talking about, you know, the tattoo that you showed and the artwork and all that kind of stuff. Like, it would have never left your mind throughout this whole entire thing, but
correct,
you're just taking opportunities. That's what it is. At an age that you can take these opportunities, right?
Absolutely, my friend. Yeah, that's really how it's played out, and that's how things have worked out. There's a new kind of culture now with guitar players who come up in this kind of, you know, I'm not talking down to anyone, but there's kind of this new YouTube age, and as a guitar player, as a gun for hire, and just gigging and getting on to bigger and bigger bands, but he's never really done something for himself. And for me, it was completely opposite. I always had Pessimist, and these other things that I've done was just icing on the cake. The fact that I toured and played in Possessed, it's the fact that I toured and played in I Am Morbid or Hyrax or these other huge names of bands was really just icing on the cake. I never set out to be a hired gun, you know. I play from the heart. I write music from the heart. This stuff is in my blood. This is
dude.
You know, where I come from.
So do you like choose those opportunities just like, man, like, I don't need to do this, but I fucking want to, like, it's cool, you know?
Well, so that has kind of been like an equilibrium, and that's kind of tipped one way or the other. There's times, you know, hey, listen, man, when the I Am Morbid opportunity came along, I was all about it, you know, because, you know, fuck, man, you go through points in your life and your career. When I left Possessed, I thought I was just fucking done, dude, you know. And I had Pessimist to go on, and yeah, when David called me up, it was like, it was like an arm coming down from the heaven, from the gods of death metal, like, come join us. You know, it was like I was fucking saved, and we can do this. So
your adventure is not done. Their adventure is not done yet.
And I'm still hanging in there. You know, I'm still going. So that's where it's at. You know, I've had people ask me now, would I do something if something else came along, and maybe, but I'm not really focused on that. I'm actually very focused on Pessimist 110%.
Oh yeah.
This is my baby. It's finally time I got back to this. And
nice.
I mean, you know, if In Flames called me up tomorrow and said, hey, you want a gig? I mean, maybe it's not very likely, but it could happen, you know?
Yeah. Totally.
Or whatever band, you know, I'm just picking names, but
you're a tried and true fucking solid ass guitar player that's like fucking been through all the fucking hoops and stuff in life and on the touring road. And but yeah, no, it's you're like a fucking professional. You know, it's like,
thank you guys. Thank you very much for that. Yeah.
I mean, you've been doing it for so long. I mean, and you've been you're very influential to so many people. It's like you're definitely like, I mean, you might get that call. You know what I mean? Like you might be.
You never know. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it's
honestly focus on this new record. The new Pessimist album is really where it's at for me.
Fuck yeah.
Dude, yeah. I want to know what's up with Pessimist right now, and I know that that child of that mom may not. Yes, dude. Pessimist's come up enough on this show that I want to know. Like, are you in contact with?
No.
We're
not. I'm still in contact with our old singer. As a matter of fact, he's our original singer, Rob Klein, is actually a forensic psychologist. He lives down in Florida nowadays. Has a private practice. He's a psychologist, a forensic psychologist. You know, interviews like serial murderers.
What does that mean? I was going to say, yeah, damn.
Goes to, interview them in jail and has to present it in court and this and that. And I mean, it made for great lyrics, and he's made, a hell of a living, a career out of it. Nice. But that's what he's doing. As far as, with his mom, it's,
well, shout out once again, Pessimist, dude. We love you on this episode.
That's cool. Yeah, we couldn't have done it without Pessimist. I hope for sure.
You're doing good, and you're pessimisting for other people in your life after you had your contact with Pessimist.
Pessimisting,
dude. Come on, like there could be. Yeah, we just made
it's
a
like
verb
to
right
pessimom is a verb. To pessimom.
That's great. Guys, it's been fun.
Yeah, dude.
Hell yeah. Thanks for fucking hanging out with us and doing all this shit, man.
What's the whole current and future situation?
Okay, yeah. So I mean, it's really good. Actually, we covered a lot of ground. And this brings up to the current situation. So Pessimist, we're in the studio. We're tracking everything right now. We track the drums with Tim Young, which are done. Those are complete.
Yes.
Nice.
It's impeccable. It's just on point.
I bet.
We have a different singer now who's been with our band since I came back from Possessed, so like in 2013, all right, 2012, 2013. This guy, Ivan Allison, who he and I have been longtime friends since the Baltimore dredges of early death metal days, since way back forever. I've known this guy way over 20 years, one of my best friends in the world, and who's writing some really extreme lyrics and vocals it's off the charts. And it's a perfect fit for the band, so we're excited about that. We have a new recruit bass player. We had the bassist Kelly Conlon, who's been with us since 2008. Kelly Conlon, who played on Death Symbolic and also played in Monstrosity on a couple of their CDs and toured with the bands.
Okay. In rehearsal, do you guys have separate nicknames so we know who you're talking to, whether it be Kelly 1 or Kelly 2?
Yeah. Oh, it's so funny. We had to call him KC. This is Kelly Conlon. Like, you have a KC right here. This guy. So, yeah. Yeah, KC. We called him KC. I'm Kelly. He's KC. So,
nice.
But, he was. It didn't work out for him to be able to do this record at the last minute. And we had a local bass player from out here in LA I've been working with, this guy, Andrew Bowen.
Right on the screen right here.
Shout out
to Andrew Bowen.
Death Metal Laker.
What's up? Bro, he handled it in the studio. We're super happy. This record's coming together. The last sprinkling of spice on the cake is going to be this week. I record my solos, which will be coming this next week, with our producer, my buddy Ira Black, who he also plays in, what's the fucking band he just joined? He plays in Bullet Boys, and he just joined Violence, the band Violence.
Oh, fuck
yeah. He just got back from Europe for that, and I think they're playing South America too. So, and he's playing a bunch of other bands. Ira played in I Am Morbid before I did. I actually took his spot in I Am Morbid. So, and he's also played in, I think, fucking Heathen and a bunch of huge bands. Anyways, an excellent all-star producer, recorder. So I'm tracking with him. And then we're going to have the record is going to be mastered by, we're having the record mastered by, oh, fuck, I'm just drawing a blank. This is really bad.
No, it's all good, dude. Hey.
Anyway, the record's going to be done and very soon. It should be out next year. It's going to be on Season of Mist.
Fuck yeah.
And so, that's the label we're signed to now. We didn't get to talk about that much, but we signed to Season of Mist back around 2019 and reissued all of our old records. So our first 3 albums that were on CD, now they're available on vinyl for the first time ever, colored vinyl, limited edition, CDs. They printed up T-shirts and everything. And I spent a lot of time going through the layouts, making sure everything had stuff that's special for the fans, man, like very limited, very rare photos, liner notes. I even did stuff like mixed around the album with the song order, the track order for the songs, new logo on all the records, new artwork for Cult to the Initiated. So all the layouts, it's something very special. Oh, every album has bonus tracks. We got a tribute to Creator on Blood for the Gods, demo versions of other songs on all the other CDs and the vinyl. So something that we did that was very special for our old fans and to garner interest and get, really kind of get the ball rolling and headed towards this new release with Key City on a Roll. Yeah.
To have a label step up and repress all your older shit and give you, option or give you some reign to be able to add certain things, like hearing you want to do that with all your back catalog really shows me that you love all the art that you've put out up to this point, dude. Like if you didn't love it, you wouldn't put in the time to do those types of things for the repress of these albums. So cheers to that, dude. Like for real, like to be an artist that can sit here in 30 years later or 25 30 years later and still want to pay homage to something that you've done back then and want to give it the time of day and really focus on certain aspects that you just mentioned. Like cheers, dude. That literally is something that as collectors, the guys like me who still just collect and want to hoard all these pieces of art, that is what we're looking for as a guy like me.
Yeah. Well, you're going to find that in this new record. And by the way, the mastering engineer is Bill Matoyer. I was kind of stumbling on his last name, but Bill Matoyer, who also mastered like Slayer's Live Undead. He also recorded, I believe, Slayer Hell Awaits and mastered it. So that's who's going to be mastering our new record. So it's automatically like a stamped, seal of approval. It's going to be a big record for us, man.
And and that's what I'm saying. To back all that stuff that you've done for this long in your life, dude, like super, super cheers to that, dude. Like to be an artist that it still feels a connection to their previous work and wants to give it the attention that at least you feel it deserves. I think
we should do a pod cheers.
Bro, we only live once. What else are you gonna do? Let it just fucking fly by? No, this is it. Thank you for the cheers. I appreciate that,
dude. Cheers, all that. Dude. Yep. Boom.
Cheers. Hell yeah.
Cheers to being able to accept your previous work, dude. Not only that, but to give it the love, dude. And that's what we really should all be doing as artists, dude. Give it the love, because that is a part of you that is solidified in time. It is concrete. Once you record it, put it out there, it is a solidified piece of you.
Well, forever.
We'll be here after we're gone too. You know,
that's a fact.
So cheers, dude. I love all that, dude. It makes
you guys
feel really good.
I love the vibe.
Dude, so
thank you for having me. And
yeah, thanks for coming on, man. I really
Kelly,
appreciate
dude, you're a rad dude. And
it's so fun, dude. Yeah.
Thank you, man. You guys have been great.
And for all the listeners, you're gonna check out Mega Mike's going nuts right now. So I'm gonna rate
let's rate them, dude. Let's rate people.
Well, let's start.
Nice.
We can start the.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna make sure I'm lining this shit up. Shit, it's taking forever.
Line it up, dude.
I just did. All right,
Kelly, dude. Let's keep in touch, dude. I really enjoyed our conversation tonight, dude.
Yeah, man.
You're a rad, dude.
So Kelly, you're out in Temecula, I think you're saying.
Yeah, I'm in Temecula, so like an hour north of San Diego.
Yeah, dude. Casey's down there.
I got a jam studio in Oceanside if you really want to jam sometime.
In Oceanside? Yeah, dude. It's like fucking 45 minutes from here.
Yeah, dude. We should
Paul Masvidal is going and jamming with Casey on Sunday.
Yeah. Well, we're going to see Iron Maiden. We're gonna all see Iron Maiden. Yeah,
you're gonna see with Paul Masvidal, Iron Maiden.
Yeah, he's gonna come. Yeah,
dude. Casey's like super homies with him now, dude.
Well, we kicked it last week. It was cool. You know, he's super awesome. He's staying in the area, so we're gonna go see Iron Maiden on Sunday. It's gonna be fucking dope.
Fuck yeah!
But
fucking legend.
Yeah, Kelly, it would be fun to like meet in person sometime and jam. And dude, you're an awesome guy, and thanks for coming on, man.
I would love to hear a Casey Kelly.
Casey's super humble, but he's like one of the most insane drummers in the world.
Yep. You'll be good on the jam.
No, he's kind of fucked up. He's super humble, like he doesn't like show off his drumming online that much, but he's like the best drummer like ever. It's pretty funny.
He just doesn't.
He left.
Should we end it before he comes back?
He's so humble that he never wants to.
Oh, there he is.
Dude, he's insane. Casey, you're fucking.
He's got rosy cheeks now, dude.
Weird.
All the top drummers, like all the Roddies, all the fucking everyone's like, oh, Casey, you're fucking sick. You know, they fucking love Casey. Like, and Casey's like, Casey's all like, I suck. I don't know what's going on. I suck. It's like, oh, Roddy and Kalias love the fuck out of you. It's weird that you suck, dude. See, he hates
one
it.
day,
Look at his face.
One day, he'll be the
Casey.
guy
I mean,
there.
Casey, you just have to understand how good you are. I mean, don't like wear it on your sleeve and be like, don't be Ingvar Malmsteen. Like, I'm not signing that fucking autograph. But like, you could fucking just understand how like you're phenomenal, man. You're an insane, like the most insane musician I've ever met. I don't know. So, anyways, we'll leave it at that.
Very nice to meet you.
I know. Thank you very much. But
anyways,
Anyways,
we're talking about Kelly. And
hey, we should go check out the show. We'll go catch a show at the Brick or something like that, man, in San Diego or whatever.
Yeah, dude, you guys. That's what I'm saying. That's the whole thing that I wanted to find out is that you guys can start kicking it, dude.
The Brick is
sure, man. I mean, we got Tim on the record. I mean, things are still kind of up in the air as far as what'll happen going forward, but. You know, the band, we're going to start getting tour opportunities, I'm sure, festivals, things of that nature. And, you know, we got a back catalog to look at, and there's, you know, it's a lot of drums to be played, man. You know,
a lot of drums to be played, dude.
Yeah. Kelly, man, you're fucking awesome, dude. You've been like super fun to talk to you, and thank you for hanging out for 3 fucking hours. Like, goddamn,
thank you guys,
man.
I got you guys, man. Cool.
Yeah.
Good, dude.
Very cool.
I'm truthfully saying, let's keep in touch, dude. Kelly, you're rad.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
I can tell you're good. You're a good dude, man. You're fucking rad, dude.
Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you having me. Yeah. So hit me up anytime. You know.
Cool, dude. And anybody who's stuck it out this long, please go hit up Pessimist online, pessimist.us. The Season of Mist links for all the Pessimist merch. Please hit up.
That's all I got.
We don't have any. Go check out. Hey, why don't I say this at the end of the episode when everybody's gonna go check out our bands, dude? Odious Mortem and fucking Decrepit Birth and Severed Savior and all that Cali death shit that we're all about, dude. Anthony Drunk alert, bro. And it's actually it's 8.8. It's not 8. It's 8.8.
Good ass shit, man.
Battleforged coffee. Battleforged.
Those are all 8%ers. I'm just letting you know.
Wow.
I know, dude. You're a surgeon, bro. You're surgeon hard. Battleforgedcoffee.com. Please go. If you drink coffee and you listen to brutal death metal, this is the fucking place to get it all in one spot, guys. Deeds of Flesh, like pioneers, California tech death scene. Come on. And I'll tell you eventually we'll have some shirts again. And come to Twitch next year. Oh my God, dude. Shut me up, dude. All right. Just
no, I love it. No, I love it though.
He's going to bed.
No, he doesn't go to bed. He's fucking hanging out, high-fiving everyone. He needs to hang out and like make jokes.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much
for real.
Yeah, thanks a lot, buddy. I really appreciate you coming on.
Kelly, dude. Yeah. Rock on. And do all the social shit too.
Yeah, you bet. It's Pessimist Cult on Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff. We got a new TikTok that's out there. Pessimist Cult. It's all one word. CULT cult.
Boom.
Cult. Yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah.
All right.
Good shit, Kelly. Thanks a lot, buddy. Thanks
for
fucking
influencing
a whole generation
somebody
of people.
right now?
I already did, dude. Like an hour
ago. Boom. All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Kelly.
Love you guys.
All right, love you, buddy. Good shit.
Cheers, man.
Have a good night.
Hit me up.
Rock
anytime.
on.
Later.